Chapter 21. Divine Weapons Heavenly Empire. Chapter 21. Divine Weapons Heavenly Empire, TLN. Divine Weapons Heavenly Empire or Shen Bing Tian Empire. The middle-aged woman was slowly walking towards Chen Xiang. With every single step she took towards him, the pressure that descended upon Chen Xiang increased greatly. Although he had been somewhat bewildered by her beauty, that feeling was now firmly swept away. A cold sweat emerged on his skin and his limbs turned weak as his body became stiff. It was as if he had lost all his strength and was rendered unable to move. As the woman's eyes that resembled a phoenix landed on him, Chen Xiang felt as if he was stripped and bare in front of her. It was as if she could see right through him, his heart, his desires, his capabilities. It quickly dawned on Chen Xiang that this was a very formidable and capable woman. He felt that he needed to act fast, so he calmed his mind and operated the Tai Chi divine exercise, and quickly covered his aura, concealing it within his yin and yang divine veins. He wanted to adhere to Su Meiyao and Bai Yuyu's orders and make sure that no one found out anything about what he had or could do. Although this took quite a while to describe, it all happened in an instant. As the two finally entered the room Chen Xiang was in, the phoenix-eyed woman's eyebrows became furrowed, as a trace of surprise flashed through her eyes. Upon entering, she noticed that Chen Xiang was calm and looked at her as he would any other woman. The phoenix-eyed woman had always been aware of her own beauty and grace. She knew that the power she exuded accentuated her beauty and vice versa. She was even confident and prideful about it. Any vigorous and healthy teenager would have been instantly ensnared and enamored with her charm and allure, or at least been affected by her presence. Yet after seeing Chen Xiang, a bud of uncertainty about her own beauty became planted deeply within her heart. Xian, your fiancé here is really capable. Much better than that **** head genius from the Yao family. The middle-aged woman's voice was soft. It was a majestic and commanding tone. It could be seen that the woman was accustomed to giving out orders, and clearly expected those orders to be followed. Chen Xiang did not waste any time. He instantly cupped his hands in salute and said, "Junior Chen Xiang greets Senior. May I inquire if this senior is Shui Xianxian's master?" The woman smiled in reply. He became unable to say a single word in response to that charming smile, something which could seize the soul of any man. Chen Xiang quickly realized he had become fluid-tiered, but after seeing and meeting so many different kinds of people, he was barely able to keep his mind calm. Chen Xiang was also startled at his power of self-control. "Yes, you can rest assured and leave your little wife to me." The middle-aged woman's voice was gentle. Unlike before, the commanding tone had disappeared and was replaced with tenderness. Shui Xianxian sighed with relief. She had been worried over how her master and fiancé would feel about each other. However, knowing that she and Chen Xiang were soon to part, an overwhelming and bitter sadness permeated throughout her heart. Nibbling her lips in distraught, Shui Xianxian took out a package of herbs and handed them to Chen Xiang. "I must leave with master, but you must quickly come and look for me," mumbled Shui Xianxian while bowing. Chen Xiang had not expected that their time together would be so short. His heart was also filled with dismay. He cupped his future wife's face and said, "Be happy, we will definitely be together. I will find you again." Shui Xianxian's master harumphed, "Brat, you better have strength above the 9th level of the mortal martial realm before you go off and look for those martial sections. You say you want to look for Xianxian? Then you should first start looking into me. After all, obtaining information about me shouldn't be too difficult. Once that's done and you manage to find me, you'll be able to see her again." Afterwards the woman turned to Shui Xianxian. "Little girl, let's go. That brat is more formidable than you can imagine, don't worry about him, it's a waste of energy." Before the woman departed, Chen Xiang and Shui Xianxian embraced each other. The phoenix-eyed woman then took Shui Xianxian away. Chen Xiang watched them soar through the sky as they flew towards the horizon, disappearing in a second's notice. When Chen Xiang was sure that the middle-aged woman was gone, he snorted, "Humph," pretending to be profound and mysterious. "Not giving me any information to go off of and then having the gall to tell me to go look into her? Damnit. At least tell me your name. That woman is very strong. She's known as the Empress of the Divine Weapon Heavenly Empire. It is well known that the divine weapon of the Vermilion Bird, one of the 4 beasts' divine weapons, is in her hands. Having her receive your little wife as an apprentice is a fortunate opportunity," said Su Meiyao. Divine Weapon Heavenly Empire? Chen Xiang had never heard of them. Just as he was about to ask more about this matter, Bai Yu interrupted the thought. "That woman is very formidable and has a power similar to our own. She is, after all, one of the deans of the 8 major righteous sects in the Qinwu mainland. It's to be expected. However, I did not expect that she would actually come here to accept an apprentice." Chen Xiang recalled that Su Meiyao and Bai Yu had previously mentioned the Qinwu mainland. It was one of the many large SES of the mortal martial world. Inside it were 8 righteous sects, each with its own dean as the rulers of the region they occupied. Those sects were at the pinnacle of strength and were the pillars of the mortal martial realm. The Divine Weapon Heavenly Empire was originally just a singular sect but later developed into the nation it is now by relying upon their skills at refining formidable weapons. "That woman just now is their empress," said Su Meiyao. Chen Xiang was happy knowing that Xue Xianxian's teacher was such a formidable figure. He felt more at ease. Although Chen Xiang felt somewhat lost with Xue Xianxian gone, he had convinced himself that this was the best for her. Taking the 6 set of herbs that Xue Xianxian had given him, he continued to refine more baptizing Merodon. 3 days said. At this point in time, Chen Xiang had successfully refined the baptizing Merodon 4 times and only failed once. He was satisfied with the overall results, and today was the start of the Chen family patriarch banquet. Many families had been invited and each sent someone to represent them. Every partic, 1p, ant was looking forward to the compet. One tie-in between Chen Xiang and Yao Tianhua. The Chen family banquet brought together many different families. These people had not come just for the food, but for the compet. 1 tie-in. The compet. 1. Tive spirit amongst the junior members was at a boiling point from the excitement. The banquet was held in a wide field at night. Several guests were bustling about, some sipped wine while others ordered off the menu. The entire dining experience was rich and vibrant. Some of the patriarchs from various other families came, but more had not due to the relations Hi+P between them and the Chen family being terribly poor. They sent representatives in their stead instead. Only the patriarchs who were still in a good relations Hi+P with the Chen family attended. Inside the wide field of the Chen family villa, numerous members from the junior generations of various martial art families of the Southern Martial Empire had been gathered. Although these bouts between them were going to be grand and intense, the majority of the crowd's attention was gathered on a specific match, the one between Chen Xiang and Yao Tianhua. The news of Chen Xiang refining the quenching body Dan had spread out. Furthermore, tonight was the date of the alchemy compet. 1 tie-in with Yao Tianhua. After learning about the skills of the 2 partic 1p ants, there was a huge betting pool which caused the attention put on this compet. 1 tie-in to soar even higher. When the banquet had been held for about half of the night, one of the guests could not sit still and shouted, "Patriarch Chen, at what time will the alchemy compet 1 tie-in between your son and the Yao family start? We have all been patiently waiting for a long time. At the end of the day, the compet 1 tie-in between those 2 is much more interesting than anything else tonight." Originally I had planned to first start off with the martial art contests to add some enthusiasm as well as bring up everyone's mood. However, seeing that everyone has waited for so long, let's begin right now. Let the two young men begin their contest. Chen Tianhu's voice boomed over the entire field as everything suddenly became quiet. In the middle of the courtyard, a large elevated stage was being built by a few old men. As the stage almost reached the end of its construction, Chen Xiang arrived. He wore black tights, a simple garb made for versatile movement. However, when compared to Chen Xiang, Yao Tianhua was simply eye-catching. His luxurious gown shone with a golden aura with a sword sheathed at his waist, the hilt gleaming with studded gems. Yao Tianhua seemed like the son of the heavens. His posture, dress and demeanor all permeated arrogance. Even the expression on his face was overbearing and made many uncomfortable or even unhappy. Yao Tianhua, do you like our current stakes? Why not raise them for such a grand compet? 1 Tian. Chen Xiang said coolly. No matter what your bet is, my Yao family can afford to match it. Yao Tianhua said, his voice flat and cold. Ha ha ha, I'm just betting on my own behalf, not on the whole Chen family's. I had not expected you, as a young and dignified alchemist, would need to rely on his entire family just to match my bet. Chen Xiang said with a smile. Yao Tianhua's facial expression contorted. He knew that without his family's support, he would be unable to match the bet of 1,000-year blood spirit GRA. SS. Chen family young master, please don't speak such nonsense. Tianhua is representing the whole Yao family in this compet. 1 Tian, so it's no big deal getting their support. You are yourself, and he is himself. An old man immediately said, with an impatient tone. He was the Yao family elder who had come along with Yao Tianhua. Chapter 22. Please verify it. Chapter 22. Please verify it. Chen Xiang took out his 1,000-year blood spirit Gra and said, This is the 1,000-year blood spirit GRA. SS. Everyone had long since heard about Chen Xiang owning a 1,000-year blood spirit GRA. But now that it was presented in front of everyone, they were still inevitably surprised. After all, this was a world-famous rare herb. Of course, if I only use this for the bet, then maybe the Yao family will look down on me. So I will also add 1/2 of AHEL L spirit GRA. SS. In Chen Xiang's hand appeared half AHEL L spirit GRA. SS. Although 1/2 had been eaten by Su Meiyao and by Yu, the remaining half was still very precious. This time several old men desperately jumped on the stage, while Chen Tianhu and several Chen family elders also went on the stage. After all, the HEL L spirit GRA S was a legendary spirit herb. Suddenly the whole field was deadly silent, and everyone could see the black HEL L spirit GRA S, but they simply did not believe that, so every one of those old men who knew about the HEL L spirit GRA S jumped up to verify it. Even the Yao family elder came up to see the HEL L spirit GRA S. Yes, this is AHEL L spirit GRA SS. Spirit Dan Hall's lord exclaimed loudly, his voice containing indescribable jealousy and envy, while those pair of old eyes frantically looked at the black half of the HEL L spirit GRA SS in the hands of Chen Xiang. Authenticated, the field suddenly burst into cries, and everyone was talking about Chen Xiang taking out half of HEL L spirit GRA SS and 1,000-year blood spirit GRA S as the betting stake. This bet was very large, and was something that any ordinary family simply could not afford. What are you going to bet? Chen Xiang looked at Yao Tianhua and the elder. Yao Tianhua and the elder's complexion were not looking good, and anyone who was proficient in alchemy would know that the HEL L spirit GRA S was a profound level spirit herb. Spirit level spirit herbs were already very rare, and profound level was even more so they knew its value. 1,000-year beast Dan, and a 1,000 vein fruit. What do you think? The elder said. Only after the death of a wild beast, who had lived for more than 1,000 years, would leave behind a Dan which is congealed out from its yuan essence. This Dan is the 1,000-year beast Dan. If this Dan were used in the refinement process, it would provide a large help. The 1,000 vein fruit was also extremely valuable. It was a profound level spirit herb and apparently only grew once every 1,000 years. Furthermore, on the peel of the fruit there were 1,000 veins and was a key ingredient in refining a foundation-building Dan. The Yao family's stakes were equally Astoni's. Hi+ing, which once again surprised the entire crowd. Whoever won would absolutely reap giant profits. Good, agreed, said Chen Xiang. Regarding the rules, in most alchemy compet. 1. Tians, whoever has the fastest speed in refining the best Dan will win. The quality of the Dan can be judged by everybody present. The Yao family elder said. Chen Xiang did not have any opinions regarding this matter. Chen Tianhu patted his son's shoulders to show his encouragement. Chen Xiang and Yao Tianhu took out their respective alchemy furnaces to let some elders examine to avoid any cheating in the compet. 1 Tian. After the examination they all left the high stage and announced the start of the compet. 1 Tian. Chen Xiang quickly took out the herbs and placed them inside the alchemy furnace. Yao Tianhua was not able to clearly see what herbs Chen Xiang placed, and in his heart he was somewhat unhappy since he could not tell what Dan Chen Xiang was refining. Nevertheless, Yao Tianhua was still confident about his win because with his status of a Yao family member, he could acquire very high-grade materials. In his opinion, when creating a Dan of the same level, absolutely no one could refine a better quality Dan than him. Looking at the glittering golden light from Yao Tianhua's alchemy furnace, Chen Xiang's heart was burning with jealousy. His poor alchemy furnace was much more inferior, and many people assumed that he would lose just by looking at his furnace. Wanting to do alchemy with a furnace like that is simply too much of a joke. It's even inferior when compared with the tripod furnace that we use for cooking soup in our family. One teenager laughed. Others soon burst into laughter after hearing the statement. Only the people with decent alchemy knowledge knew that alchemy was not determined by the furnace, but the individual performing the refinement process. If it was an alchemy grandmaster, even without an alchemy furnace they could perform alchemy and successfully refine dawn. While Chen Xiang was refining the baptizing marrow Dan, he was also observing Yao Tianhua as he placed his spirit herbs in the furnace. Just by observing the herbs, he had determined Yao Tianhua was trying to refine a low-grade mortal level Dan called a spirit yuan Dan, which provided a boost during cultivation. It could be called the most expensive low-grade mortal level Dan, and its refinement was rather difficult. It was common for many people to refine this Dan in alchemy compet. 1 Tians. It was also a test for alchemists to determine how well they grasped the basics of alchemy. Chen Xiang had already long before practiced refining that Dan. However, the cost of refinement was rather high and was only slightly cheaper compared to the baptizing marrow Dan. Therefore it did not make much sense for Chen Xiang to refine that Dan. Waiting for the outcome was rather tedious. Everyone was either eating, drinking or chatting while watching the two young alchemists on stage. In order to successfully refine the baptizing marrow Dan, Chen Xiang did not pursue speed but was instead cautiously refining. It took almost half an hour for Chen Xiang to completely transform all the spirit herbs into herbal powder, which soon filled the alchemy furnace with colorful herbal spirit qi. Now he only had to fuse together the various herbal spirit qis, and then fuse together the completed herbal spirit qi with the herbal powder. This was the most crucial and nerve-wracking process, and if it was not done correctly, it would lead to the entire furnace exploding. 2 hours said in the blink of an eye. Currently, Chen Xiang had a very serious facial expression and was sweating profusely. On the other hand, Yao Tianhua was much more relaxed and could even be described as idle. He occasionally took glances at Chen Xiang. Seeing him in pain was very satisfying for Yao Tianhua. He could easily tell that Chen Xiang was at the most crucial step of refinement. Furthermore, he might easily make a mistake. Done. 5 Spirit Yuan Dan. Yao Tianhua suddenly shouted. This put everyone into a momentary lapse of confusion. Meanwhile, Chen Xiang had yet to finish. Everyone looked at Chen Xiang, and seeing his serious expression, assumed he had encountered some problems in the refining process. The Yao family genius really deserves his reputation. Not only did he refine 5 Spirit Yuan Dan in 2 hours, but this is also the best low-grade mortal level Dan. It seems that Chen family brat is going to lose. One person said. I heard that refining a Spirit Yuan Dan is not easy. Is that Chen family brat also refining the exact same Dan? If so, he already lost and is behind in time by a great margin. Another person said. Everyone started discussing about Chen Xiang's apparent loss. After all, Chen Xiang had placed very huge betting stakes. Yao Tianhua was also waiting for Chen Xiang to finish. He could barely disguise his pleasure as he was certain Chen Xiang would lose and that he would soon win that 1,000-year blood spirit Gra along with the L spirit GRSS. With these 2 items, he would certainly become famous throughout the entire southern martial empire. Chen Xian did not make them wait for too long. He took a long and deep breath before saying, Well, I'm finally done. Hearing Chen Xiang speak, the crowd quieted down, only to hear Yao Tianhua's ridicule. So what? You still lost. Chen Xiang faintly smiled as he wiped off the sweat on his forehead, saying, I have refined 3 baptizing marrow Dan, please verify it. 3 baptizing marrow Dan. This made the audience transfixed like wooden chickens. This was unbelievable, and everybody suspected they had problems with their hearing. Chen Xiang actually refined a middle-grade mortal-level baptizing marrow Dan? That was far more expensive than the Spirit Yuan Dan. It's not possible. He's only 16 years old. It's impossible for him to refine a baptizing marrow Dan. The Spirit Dan Hall's Lord, while strangely crying, rushed onto the high stage. Some other elders also flew onto the stage as well as Chen Tianhu, who arrived by Chen Xiang's side. Chen Xiang, now is not the time or place for a joke. Yao Tianhua could not believe that Chen Xiang had actually successfully refined a baptizing marrow Dan, and he wasn't alone. The majority of people present also could not believe it. Chen Xiang smiled and indifferently said again, Please verify it. Chapter 23. Heavenly Tiger Storm Killing Fist. Chapter 23. Heavenly Tiger Storm Killing Fist. The 2 alchemy furnaces were simultaneously opened. Yao Tianhua's alchemy furnace contained 5 azure dawn, while in Chen Xiang's alchemy furnace there were 3 black dawn. Yao Tianhua has refined 5 Spirit Yuan Dan, meanwhile Chen Xiang has refined 3 baptizing marrow Dan. One of the elders of the Chen family shouted in a very excited voice. The Chen family now had a supreme alchemy genius. As long as they were Chen family members, everyone was obviously going to be extremely excited just like him. Yao Tianhua and the Yao family elders saw those 3 black dawn, and just from the aroma originating from the Dan, they confirmed it really was the baptizing marrow Dan. However, the Spirit Dan Hall's Lord still picked the up Dan and carefully examined it. This really is the baptizing marrow Dan and is also of such good quality. Honestly, it is difficult for others to admit. One little boy is actually capable of refining this Dan. Spirit Dan Hall's Lord exclaimed again and again, his face full of a complex expression, and he suddenly felt that he had wasted his 70-80 years of life. The whole field surged with bursts of cries, and after the confirmation everyone was dumbfounded. They had witnessed the whole alchemy process, and Chen Xiang did not to do anything tricky and was actually able to refine the middle-grade mortal level baptizing Merodan. The matter of Chen Xiang having no spiritual veins had long been forgotten, and now in the heart of everyone, he was an alchemist with huge potential. Yao Tianhua's expression was similar to dying embers. The handsome face of his was full of anger, envy and ruthlessness. If possible, he just could not wait to kill Chen Xiang, because him losing to Chen Xiang was just insulting. You willingly took the bet. Now it's time to admit defeat. Take out your bet. Chen Xiang had a faint smile on his face, but it seemed, through Yao Tianhua's eyes, like he was being contemptuous with a mocking smile, making Yao Tianhua furious inside his heart. The Yao family's elder's entire body was trembling. He was also furious from the loss because not only did their Yao family lose a lot of precious materials, but they also lost their reputation. Their acclaimed Yao family genius was inferior to a Chen family member who did not even have spirit veins. The 1,000-year beast Dan looked like an emerald egg, and inside flowed the yuan essence of a 1,000-year-old wild beast. The 1,000-vein fruit was as big as an apple but very heavy, and holding it in his hands, Chen Xiang could feel the energy contained inside. Chen Xiang was very happy in his heart from obtaining these two precious materials. If he could refine these materials into dawn, he would be able to elevate his strength very quickly. Chen Xiang, let's compete in martial arts. Yao Tianhua pulled out the double-edged sword from his waist as killing intent emanated from his body. Chen Xiang could defeat a martial artist of the 7th level of the mortal martial realm, so naturally this challenge from Yao Tianhua did not hold any meaning. As such, the Chen family members were all very relieved. Chen Tianhu said with a sigh, "Young man, don't be arrogant. Otherwise you are bound to suffer another loss." Chen Tianhu was currently very excited. Not only could his son refine the baptizing Merodan, but he had also earned two very precious alchemy ingredients. If you want to fight, then let's fight. However, if you get injured, don't blame me. After all, fists and kicks do not have eyes. Chen Xiang said lazily. By now, the Chen family elder and Chen Tianhu had already retreated to the sidelines. But the Yao family elder was now a bit worried. From many years of experience, he could see that Chen Xiang was definitely out of the ordinary and definitely not the wimpy kid with no spiritual vein like the rumors suggested. "Tianhua, how confident are you about victory?" the Yao family elder asked in a deep voice. "I'm 100% sure I will win. I'm a mortal martial realm martial artist of the 5th level and practice many excellent martial skills." Yao Tianhua glared with anger-stricken eyes at Chen Xiang. He could not wait to kill him. "Good, remember you are just simply exchanging pointers. You do not want to take his life, after all, we are inside the Chen family's villa." The Yao family also proceeded to retreat off the high stage. Chen Xiang felt that this situation was somewhat funny. Just a moment ago, everybody thought that he could not refine the baptizing Merodan, and now they were once more making assumptions that he was weak. Since it is a compet. 1. Tian Yu proposed, "How about we add a little bet to it?" Chen Xiang asked with a smile. Seeing Yao Tianhua not reply, Chen Xiang knew that the Yao family could not afford to bet again. Chen Xiang said with a smile, "If you win, how about you get to take back the 1,000-year beast Dan and the 1,000-vein fruit? But if you lose, then our Chen family will get to take the Spirit Dan Hall's lord. He will then become our Chen family's alchemist, and we also get to take half of the spirit herbs owned by Spirit Dan Hall. How about it?" Spirit Dan Hall was currently the Yao family's property. From this, it was certain that the Yao family had already recruited the Spirit Dan Hall's lord. Since the Spirit Dan Hall's lord had to be at least somewhat knowledgeable in alchemy, Chen Xiang wanted to win over this talented person to the Chen family. "No problem. But the Spirit Dan Hall will still belong to our Yao family." The Yao family readily agreed without hesitation. In his opinion, it was just one alchemist and some cheap spirit herbs. The Yao family had no shortage of this, not to mention Yao Tianhua was 100% sure of his win. Spirit Dan Hall's lord could only sigh loudly. He was very unhappy at being treated as a betting stake, but he also felt there was no major problem in joining the Chen family. Perhaps in the future he would have an opportunity to trade and gain the H.E.L. Spirit GRAS from Chen Xiang. Come on. Take out your weapon, Yao Tianhua coldly said while shaking his double-edged sword that was radiating with a cold and cruel aura. Chen Xiang shook his head in response and replied, I do not use weapons. Then do not blame me for being impolite. Yao Tianhua wielded his sword and with a steady step, stomped on the stage causing it to tremble. From this action of his, one could clearly see his attack was going to be violent and full of power. It was already late into the night, but no one felt the need to sleep. On the contrary, everyone was very energetic, since these two very talented young alchemists were going to compete in martial arts. The general impression of alchemists were that they were not very strong, but this line of thinking was dead wrong. In order to become an alchemist, one should first and foremost be able to control their true qi freely. Their divine sense should be strong enough that they could arbitrarily manipulate their flames to respond to any sudden changes or danger during the refining process. They also needed to occasionally personally acquire rare herbs, which was also very dangerous. Moreover, alchemists had so many dawn they could take, so their strength was in no way weak. It was just that most alchemists were protected at all times, so there was usually no need for them to come out and personally fight. Looking at the sharp long sword that was stabbing towards him, Chen Xiang quickly took a step forward and punched out. Azure True Qi suddenly wrapped around his arm as it transformed into a tiger's head. Heavenly Tiger Storm Killing Fist. This child has actually entered into the 6th level of the mortal martial realm. Chen Tianhu shouted with surprise. The Heavenly Tiger Storm Killing Fist was originally a high-grade spirit-level martial skill. It was similar to a ferocious tiger pouncing onto its prey and was filled with the power of a true qi explosion. As long as they were not blind, everyone could see that Chen Xiang had entered into the divine sense stage. He could control true qi externally and congeal it into a solid form by controlling his divine sense. Congealing a tiger's head could only be accomplished by divine sense stage martial artists. 16 years old, and not only could he refine a baptizing Merodan, but he had also reached the 6th level of the mortal martial realm. This level of talent was an extreme rarity, at most only one in 1,000 years. Only Xue Xianxian of the Xue family could possibly hope to compare. There was a rumor that she had fought on par with a Xue family elder. Although it was only a rumor, many people believed it. The elder's strength was over the 6th level of the mortal martial realm. Xue Xianxian had fought with this elder numerous times. Xue Xianxian was only around 14 years old, yet she was already able to fight on par with an elder. This degree of talent, perhaps only Chen Xiang could hope to match it. Chen Xiang's fists looked like an angry ferocious tiger, and the azure true qi shattered the atmosphere as it continuously emitted explosion that swallowed the long sword. Chapter 24. Violent Attack. Chapter 24. Violent attack. Fist and sword both collided with each other, as a powerful momentum, a wave of true qi surged in every direction. As the azure aura exploded, Chen Xiang's vigorous true qi broke Yao Tianhua's long sword with a sharp sound. Chen Xiang's Heavenly Tiger Storm Killing Fist were unstoppable. Violent fists with powerful and steaming true qi smashed into Yao Tianhua, pressuring him until he was unable to move his body, nor was he able to take a breath. Stop! Just then the Yao family elder shouted, but Chen Xiang's fists were like thunderbolts attacking from the sky. Everyone was extremely shocked, even their eyes and mouths were fully open. Accompanied by powerful wind, Yao Tianhua's body flew off the stage, vomiting large amounts of blood as he fainted midair. The Yao family elder as well as several of the Yao family bodyguards quickly flew into the sky and landed near the fallen Yao Tianhua. You actually injured him so heavily," the Yao family elder angrily shouted. He quickly took out a pill and placed it inside Yao Tianhua's mouth. After treating Yao Tianhua, he handed him over to the Yao family bodyguards. Then the Yao family elder jumped up onto the high stage. Chen Xiang, just with his fists, broke Yao Tianhua's sword and severely wounded him in the process. This level of strength made others hang their heads in shame. At this time, the other family juniors were very excited, because they realized that the Chen and Yao families were now mortal enemies. Moreover, that Yao family elder was currently preparing to fight Chen Xiang. The Chen family elders and branch commanders were also getting ready to deal with the trouble, but before they could move they were stopped by Chen Tianhu. In a low voice he said to them, "Everyone do not move. We will simply watch this spectacular play." Chen Yihan said with a somewhat unnatural complexion, "This brat defeated me with only a 5th-level mortal martial realm strength. Now he has already advanced to the 6th level. That Yao family elder will absolutely not be able to take advantage of him in any way." Although the Yao family elder's strength was in 7th level of the mortal martial realm, for Chen Xiang, who cultivated divine exercises and had a yin and yang divine veins, it would not be difficult for him to defeat the Yao family elder. Someone who was highly talented with huge potential would become the future of their family. Although Chen family was very powerful, they also had many powerful families that were secretly hostile towards them. Now that the other families' juniors had witnessed Chen Xiang's strength, those families with vile intentions against Chen family were bound to restrain their thoughts. Also, the other families would try to get friendly with the Chen family to establish equally beneficial relations. What's wrong? Can the younger generation not beat the elders? Chen Xiang sneered, while his pair of fists occasionally burst out with azure lightning. Everyone present in the field was surprised. Didn't Chen Xiang cultivate flames? How come he was releasing such violent lightning true qi? The Yao family elder was not stupid. He realized that this was not the true extent of Chen Xiang's strength. What surprised him even more was the fact that the Chen family experts didn't even step forward to help Chen Xiang. This made the Yao family elder feel an inexplicable shame, because the Chen family experts believed that Chen Xiang could easily cope with him. In fact, it seemed like they disdained to even step forward to deal with him. Chen Xiang looked at the Yao family elder standing in front of him, and said while watching that old face grimaced in anger, "Yao family elder, in the end what did you come here to do? Are you also going to exchange pointers with me?" Exchange pointers? One who had lived dozens of years was going to exchange pointers with a 10 or so year old brat. This was simply going to make him a laughingstock. Whether he wins or not, this matter could only tarnish his reputation. You wounded Tianhua." The Yao family elder really had nothing else to say because he simply jumped up on the stage in spur of the moment. Chen Xiang slowly said in a relaxed tone, "So what? If I did not retaliate, his sword would have pierced my throat. I did not kill him, that is already me being lenient." Anyone could see that Yao Tianhua's sword attack was very ruthless, so Chen Xiang's actions were also natural. Furthermore, they were in a martial combat. 1. Tian getting injured was obviously unavoidable. Only the Yao family elder felt unjustified. He belonged to one dignified Dan aristocratic family, and had a wide network of many strong families who had alliances with the Yao family. But today, the Yao family not only lost their precious herbs but also their face. Moreover, the Yao family prided alchemist also got injured, and all of this was due to Chen Xiang. Ha ha! The Yao family elder suddenly looked up and laughed. One little Chen family really dares to overestimate their own capabilities and is going to try to oppose my Yao family. Today I will teach a lesson to a brat who does not even know the immensity of heaven and earth. The Yao family elder was already desperate. In his opinion, the Chen family was only a small family. Even if he taught a lesson to Chen Xiang this one time, the Chen family would not dare to say anything. Plus, even if the two families went to war, the Yao family would definitely not lose. Shameless old bastard. It's your Yao family who don't know the immensity of heavens and earth. The Yao family has already lost face because of you today. Chen Xiang said in a loud and clear voice which resounded over the whole field. In their hearts, everyone had already secretly despised the Yao family. They didn't even admit defeat, and now they were also trying to bully the weak. They were relying on their strength and prosperity. Regardless of morality and justice, they were going to attack Chen Xiang. It was simply too ridiculous. The Yao family elder got more angry. With a howl, his whole body was suddenly covered in fiery red true qi. From both of his eyes fire was plusing out, and with just one step he appeared in front of Chen Xiang. Both of the Yao family elders' palms resembled radiant fiery meteors, and the strike rushed towards Chen Xiang. Whilst an invisible wall made of the fiery true qi aura surrounded Chen Xiang. Those pair of hot palms had not yet hit Chen Xiang, but the invisible true aura had already penetrated Chen Xiang's body. Yet he just stood still with calmness and tranquility, similar to a mountain even when faced with the scorching flames. Both his fists were overflowing with true qi, azure light flashed plusing above them. They immediately transformed into tiger heads, and this attack was even bigger than the one that heavily injured Yao Tianhua. Flames were plusing out from the Yao family elder's whole body, appearing ferocious like an angry fiery devil. Vigorous true qi gathered around on his pair of skinny palms. Old man, actually even against me you are resorting to such a heavy hand. Then I'm also not going to be polite. Chen Xiang suddenly roared like a mad dragon, while azure qi waves spewed out from inside his mouth. Suddenly, a fierce azure wind started blowing. Within this fierce wind, azure lightning was plusing one after another. At the same time, Chen Xiang like a bolt moved towards the Yao family elder. That pair of tiger heads' fists instantaneously transformed into two solemn and powerful azure dragon heads. The azure dragon roar released a fierce wind containing lightning, and it was very powerful. After seeing this, the Yao family elder could not help but be surprised. At this time he also saw two giant dragons that were roaring and plusing towards him. You brat! The Yao family elder was panic-stricken from watching Chen Xiang's violent true qi plusing towards him. Both of Chen Xiang's fists met with the approaching Yao family elder's fire palms. Punching each other away, the palm and fist fiercely collided. Bang! With thunderous sounds and with various plusing lights due to the blast, qi waves resembled sea waves, as the hurricane-like momentum spread in every direction, instantaneously destroying the high stage, and even lifted up some of the nearby dining tables and chairs. Everyone was dumbstruck. Unexpectedly, a 16-year-old teenager was on par with the Yao family elder. Moreover, he even got the upper hand. Everyone could clearly notice the blood overflowing from the corners of the mouth of the Yao family elder. Although Chen Xiang looked embarrassed, said and could not bear with it, but he was steadily standing there like a mountain, with uniform breath. Unlike the Yao family elder, who was panting. Everyone could see that the Yao family elder probably had consumed a huge amount of true qi to withstand the crazy and fierce attack from Chen Xiang. Chapter 25. Granduncle. Chapter 25. Granduncle, in the end, what martial skill did you use? The Yao family elder asked with an ugly complexion. If Chen Xiang hadn't cultivated the peerless divine exercise, it would have been impossible for him to endure with just his 6th level of mortal martial realm strength. Chen Xiang didn't answer, but clenched both his fists, and in the next moment, two tiger heads once again appeared above them. Step by step he advanced, and in the blink of an eye, only his fist's shadow was visible, and like numerous ferocious tigers, they bombarded on Yao family elder. After each and every fists, a violent explosion took place, resulting in the ground to continuously shake. After the Yao elder was struck 10 times, his true chi enkampa, as Sing his body shattered. He had to use his own body to resist the rest of Chen Xiang's storm-like fists. Chen Xiang's fists were not only violent but fierce and ruthless too. Each fist struck on Yao family elder's body, making everyone shudder. They were thinking about what would happen if they were hit by those fists. At this point, everyone present in the field was staring with their mouths wide open, looking at Chen Xiang's oppressive attacks. If they had not personally watched this, it would have been difficult for them to believe that a 16-year-old teenager actually made a Yao family elder a punching bag. This level of strength sent SHI plus Ver down their spines. Competing with the Yao family members is simply humiliating. Willing to bet but does not concede when they've lost. Get out of here! Chen Xiang shouted while he sent a flying kick towards the body of the Yao family elder, which sent him towards the nearby Yao family bodyguard. The Yao family elder had already fainted due to severe injuries. Several of his bones were broken by Chen Xiang's heavenly tiger storm killing fists. At this time, everyone suspected that it was some sort of illusion, as they simply couldn't believe that Chen Xiang was capable of seriously injuring the Yao family elder. This time they were convinced. Chen Xiang must have practiced a peerless martial skill, otherwise it would be impossible for him to have this level of strength. Yao Tianhua and the Yao family elder came up on stage, on their legs, but now they were being carried out. Moreover, they asked for it. Today's matter was observed by many people. Even if the Yao family wanted to pursue the Chen family, they could not say anything. After all, it was the Yao family who acted first. Late at night, everyone who was invited to the Chen family banquet departed in full excitement. They were not at all disappointed with the Chen family's banquet. Although everyone left, the banquet still kept on going. This was the Chen family's own banquet. All the broken tables, chairs and spoilt food was now being replaced. The tables were once again filled with delicacies and good wines. The Chen family were celebrating for their new patriarch and cheered for the birth of a new powerful figure, Chen Xiang. This could make the whole Chen family's status elevate. In the morning, sunlight was SHI plus Ning on the chaotic field. On the field, a large number of Chen family members were dead drunk, but Chen Tianhu and numerous elders were energetic like dragons and fierce as tigers. After all, they were the main support of the Chen family, and they needed to remain vigilant at all times. Chen Xiang and Chen Tianhu sent off the Chen family branch commanders. Only after this they let out a sigh of relief. Dad, inside Wohu City only Spirit Dan Hall sells Dawn. Later on, when we buy Dawn from them, it will definitely be expensive, which is very troublesome for us. Chen Xiang said with a wry smile. Chen Tianhu rubbed his temples and said, "Now are you thinking about this? You ruthlessly humiliated the Yao family and now you want your father to wipe your ass." Chen Xiang stuck out his tongue and then asked, "It's not a big problem, right?" Chen Tianhu coldly replied, "Rest assured, although the Yao family is a Dan aristocratic family, our Chen family is definitely not a vegetarian. But the issue regarding Dawn is a bit hard to solve. The vegetarian bit might confuse some, but it basically means they are not scared to spill blood." At this time one sound came. Actually, this issue is not at all hard to solve. Under the heavens, it is not just the Yao family who sells Dawn, although Spirit Dan Hall is the Yao family property, but what about other cities? The voice belonged to Spirit Dan Hall Lord. His name was known to only few people, even Chen Tianhu was not clear about it. Hall Lord, although I won the bet with Yao Tianhua, but you are still free, except that you can't return to Spirit Dan Hall. Aside from that, you can go anywhere you want," said Chen Xiang. Spirit Dan Hall Lord replied, "Do not call me Hall Lord, this old man is a well-known figure, I'm called Chen Luzhong." This name came as a surprise to Chen Xiang and Chen Tianhu. To their surprise, Spirit Dan Hall Lord was surnamed Chun. Chun Xiang's grandfather was also called Chun Luhong, so it came as a surprise for Chun Tianhu. Ha ha ha, do you know why your grandfather and I have so much hatred? Chun Luzhong looked at Chun Xiang and laughingly asked. Because he is my elder brother, simply because I was not able to become patriarch at that time and had some conflict with him, I left the family. After leaving the family, I started to learn alchemy and at last established Spirit Dan Hall. Using it, I planned to make amends with your grandfather. Since he has left the Chun family, then I have nothing to come back for. If you want this old man, I'm willing to solve the Dan problem for you. Chun Luzhong turned his head and looked at the Chun family main gate. The expression in his eyes was as if he fondly remembered something. Chun Xiang with a smile said, Granduncle, if you can stay behind it will be definitely good. Otherwise the whole Dan issue will become a heavy burden that will fall on my head. Chun Tianhu also said, Uncle, welcome back to the Chun family. Chun Luzhong only slightly smiled, with sentimental countenance looking at Chun Tianhu. When I left the Chun family you were just a kid back then, I was very young at that time. Now I am too old, you youngsters look after the Chun family. After last night's banquet, Chun Xiang's name had spread to elders of various forces. The Chun family's new position was also being evaluated. The Chun family now had 2 alchemists and they wouldn't need to worry about Dawn, but at present the only root of the problem was herb's source. For low-level herbs it was not an issue, however high-level herbs were rather expensive and rare. The Yao family held the majority of many high-level herbs. Inside a private room, Chun Xiang, with Bai Yuyu and Su Meiyao, was discussing the situation of the Chun family. He was hoping that before he joined a martial arts sect, the Chun family would become very powerful. This is not a problem, your Chun family is only missing the herbs. You can just go to the nearby city and simply buy some and return. You can first sell that blood spirit GRASS. Su Meiyao said while playing with the 1,000-year beast Dan. Chun Xiang said with some sorrow, That is but 1,000-year-old blood spirit GRASS, it is very rare. Su Meiyao placed back the 1,000-year beast Dan in Chun Xiang's hand and laughingly said, Don't you have the dragon saliva exercise? So long as you have time, even the 10,000-old blood spirit GRASS is not a problem. However, blood spirit GRASS is a low-level spirit herb, and no matter how high its maturity is, its efficiency is far too limited. However, that HEL spirit GRASS is pretty good. Dragon saliva, it could accelerate growth of spirit herbs. If one kind of spirit herb was continuously nourished with it, then you could grow the spirit herb with high maturity. Chun Xiang, after thinking this through, became restless. He wanted to try something. He wanted to see if he could grow a 10,000-year-old blood spirit GRASS. Su Meiyao, as if she could see through his thoughts in a tender voice, said, Do not try to attempt to mature the blood spirit GRASS up to 10,000 years, that is simply a waste. When it is used to nourish other high-ranking spirit herbs, it will be more cost-effective. You should know the dragon saliva exercise. Congeals out the essence of sun and moon, plus the dragon saliva is congealed out only by using your azure dragon true chi. You do not have the liberty to waste it at will. Chapter 26. Real Stage. Chapter 26. Real Stage. Chun Xiang nodded and said, Understood, Sister Yuyu. Sister, when will you teach me those devil skills? Bai Yuyu looked at him coldly out of the corner of her eye and said, You haven't even completely grasped Junior Sister's divine exercise of 4 symbols. Yet, so don't even think about learning the devil skills. You still have a long way to go. Chun Xiang was currently able to use only a portion of the Azure Dragon Divine Exercise and the Vermilion Bird Divine Exercise, while the White Tiger Divine Exercise and the Black Tortoise Divine Exercise were exceptionally difficult to practice, and also had some special requirements to practice them. Azure Dragon Claw and Azure Dragon Roar from the Azure Dragon Divine Exercise were relatively easy to learn, and Vermilion Bird Profound Fire and Vermilion Bird Fire Wing were also the same. Although the divine exercise of 4 symbols consisted of many powerful martial techniques, they required a certain amount of strength to be able to start practicing them, otherwise Qigong deviation would occur. TLN. Qigong deviation is simply imbalance in Qi. Late at night, hidden deep below the ground, inside a private room, a pring-pung sound was being transmitted intermittently. This was caused by Chen Xiang practicing his martial skills. Just looking at his bare chest, one could see incomparably strong muscles that turned to a shade of dark red due to the slightly surging out hot qi, while he was standing steadily in a horse stance and was ting the iron wall not far away from him. At this time, hot qi waves were bursting out of his fists, combined with an invisible fist strength, and were striking the iron wall, due to which the land shook and trembled. Not bad. Within a day's time, you were able to grasp the Fire King Fists, which is a basic attack skill of the Vermilion Bird Divine Exercise. However, it gets more difficult as you advance. You can now rest up. Su Meiyao was also a little bored and tired, as she had been sitting there watching as Chen Xiang practiced for the whole day. Chen Xiang looked at that mature and ample bosom of Su Meiyao, and with a smile said, "Sister Meiyao, I need to take a shower, would you like to join?" Su Meiyao, with her gentle and enchanting voice and eyes full of charm, said, "I have to call senior sister to join us. I fear you will not be honest at that time." Speaking of Bai Yuyu, Chen Xiang's complexion suddenly froze. Forget about it. Su Meiyao, while laughing loudly, entered the invisible ring on Chen Xiang's finger. Inside the ring, there was a small room, where all the daily necessities were present. Inside the ring, the 2 girls' lives were also very relaxed. The next day, Chen Xiang woke up and spat out the dragon saliva present inside his mouth in a small bottle, but he did not immediately go out and pour it on some herbs. He was currently saving and leaving it for the future. Chen Xiang wanted to look for Chen Luzhong to talk about alchemy, but did not expect that Chen Luzhong had already departed to purchase the spirit herbs. Moreover, he also left behind spirit herbs required to refine dawn. These were already matured spirit herbs. Chen Xiang was also very happy to use them for refining dawn, which could also help increase his alchemical experience. 1 day, 2 days, after 3 days had passed, Chen Xiang finished all the spirit herbs left behind by Chen Luzhong. Because most of these spirit herbs were of the low-grade mortal level, the dawn refined were also of same level. At this time the Chen family also had enough dawn to cope for some time. These days, many of the Chen family juniors gathered around Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang would often go to martial arts field and exchange pointers with the Chen family youths, and would sometimes also give them advice, which was very helpful for them. "Xiang heir, can you attend the King City's martial art tournament and obtain the first place reward of the high-grade spirit level true elemental Dan?" Chen Tianhu suddenly came to the martial arts field. Chen Xiang, after giving it some thought, said, "I want to go to other cities to purchase some spirit herbs. At that time, along the way, if it is convenient, I will partake." 1p8. At this time, one of the Chen family children said, "Chen Xiang, please partake." 1p8. If we go it will definitely be hopeless, but I heard that in the King City's martial arts tournament many talented people will be partake. 1p8ing. Some even have the strength at the 7th level of the mortal martial realm. One girl, while nodding, also said, "I also heard that many people who returned from martial arts sects will also be partake." 1p8ing. Chen Xiang heard all the information, which can be summarized as such. King City's martial arts tournament was held once every 10 years. The partake 1p ants must be below the age of 20, and it was conducted by the largest city of Southern Martial Empire, King City. The present area of King City was previously the location of 4 different cities, but as the cities developed more and more people started to settle in, the 4 cities expanded and got well interconnected, which later resulted in them combining to form a single major city. That was King City. King City was also the royal capital of the Southern Martial Empire. The Yao family and the imperial palace were also situated there. Many of the formidable families of the Southern Martial Empire were also established there, which led to many experts gathering there. Chen Tianhu also nodded and said, King City's martial arts tournament also has one more purpose, which is to select some excellent pioneers to enter those martial arts sections. You should already know that the whole Southern Martial Empire is affiliated with those martial arts sects. Martial arts families were required to pay taxes each year as a tribute to the imperial palace, while the Southern Martial Empire offered them to martial arts sections. Obviously, these martial arts sects were formidable enough to dominate all the major families of the whole kingdom. Do not think that these taxes are handed over in vain. You should know that these martial arts sects are necessary to maintain our safety. Otherwise, this place will most likely encounter a group of demon beasts, demons or devils, and will be easily slaughtered. Chen Tianhu was looking up at the sky as he said in an imposing tone. All the Chen family juniors suddenly went into an uproar. Previously they thought that these big sects were some kind of legendary existences, but now that they came to know that these legendary sects maintained such close relations with the mortal world, they were surprised. The Southern Martial Empire could be considered to be very big with a population of some 100 millions, but still there weren't many truly powerful martial pioneers, and as for alchemists, they were as rare as finding the feathers of a phoenix and horns of a unicorn. However, with such a huge population, there were bound to be some good martial pioneers, so these martial arts sect would sometimes come here to recruit such pioneers. The fastest and the most effective way to select them was to gather all of these formidable and strong youngsters in a place and make them fight, and the strongest from them all would attain the qualifications to enter these martial arts sections. TLN. Feathers of phoenix and horns of unicorn, Chinese idiom meaning extremely rare. Chen Xiang arrived at the library with Chen Tianhu. Along the way, Chen Xiang noticed that Chen Tianhu must have had something important to say, because Chen Tianhu's complexion had been very serious since earlier. Once they were inside the library, Chen Tianhu said, Xiang your granduncle Chen Luzhong has already gone to King City. Our Chen family in the eyes of many people is considered to be a formidable martial arts aristocratic family, but we are still unable to enter the King City. We cannot be regarded as an unconditionally strong and prosperous family, so our Chen family's next target is King City. Chen Xiang also heard some information, such as the Yao family also had some relations with those martial arts sects, and also that the Yao family doesn't pay taxes to the imperial palace but rather directly offers them to these sections. The Xue family is also migrating to King City now. Because of Xue Xianxian, the Xue family was able to establish themselves due to their relations with a strong martial arts sect. But if we want to strive there and open a path for the Chen family, we can only rely on you and your granduncle. Chen Tianhu's hands were pressing on Chen Xiang's shoulder as he sincerely said. Chen Xiang, while frowning, asked, What do I need to do? Join a martial arts sect? Chen Tianhu shook his head and said, No, even if you are able to join a martial arts sect, the Chen family still will not be able to get the support of those big sections. Now the only way is to get our Chen family noticed by those big sects, and then make them look for us on their own initiative. The only way to do this is to show off your talent in alchemy. Chen Xiang's gaze turned fierce, a bright flash flickered in his eyes, and he was grinning with a smile as he said, I know what to do. I will pick some things up and then go to King City and meet up with granduncle. Chen Tianhu patted Chen Xiang's shoulder, and with a smile on his face, said, Xiang heir, your stage is not here in this mortal world, but rather at those martial arts sects where strong pract. 1. Tioniers are as numerous as trees in a forest. Chapter 27, Killer. Chapter 27. Killer. After packing up some simple things and slightly changing his appearance, Chen Xiang started his solitary journey towards King City. With his strength, as long as his opponent was not someone above the 8th level of the mortal martial realm, it was difficult for them to pose any threat to him. In the whole southern martial empire there were not many who had reached the 8th level of the mortal martial realm, so Chen Tianhu was assured about his safety. The distance from Wohu City to King City was relatively far, and one needed to travel at least 5 or 6 days to reach their destination. Along the way there was no noticeable danger, unless one was seeking death and tried to enter the mountain forest where demon beasts frequently roamed. Brat, currently you do not need to rush to enter those martial arts sects, the compet. 1. Tie-in inside those sects are very intense. If you do not have absolute strength, you will only further humiliate yourself. Bai Yuyu said. Understood, Sister Yuyu. Chen Xiang felt slightly warm in his heart, as it was rare for this ice-cold beauty to care about him. At this time Chen Xiang was already very far away from Wohu City and had already arrived in the wilderness. This was the first time he'd been so far away from Wohu City. His heart was somewhat excited but also vigilant. In the evening, as the whole sky turned dark, Chen Xiang stopped at a nearby forest. While walking on the dirt road, Chen Xiang suddenly noticed some movements behind him. This father is already being followed, moreover there are several of them. Chen Xiang cursed in his mind while increasing his guard. He operated his true qi and gathered it at his feet so that he could quickly dodge or attack at any time. Do not panic, let them come out. If you cannot defeat them, then just flee. With the help of the vermilion bird Firewing, you can easily escape. Su Meiyao transmitted to Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang replied with the help of his divine sense, I'm not panicking, I'm just in a bad mood. Have they been stalking me for a long time? Have they been following me from Wohu City? Really useless, you were being followed since the beginning. Bai Yuyu said with contempt, which elevated the bad mood of Chen Xiang more. Chen Xiang turned around and in a cold voice said, How long are you going to follow me? All of you, get your F.U.C. King A.S.S.E.S. out here. Just shortly after he shouted. Shwa shwa shwa, 5 masked black-robed men appeared in front of him. He remembered that not long ago he had helped the Shui family children cope with some black-robed killers, but he had not expected that he would also encounter them. These 5 black-robed men really had been following Chen Xiang from Wohu City. It's just that Chen Xiang had been very vigilant since the beginning, which made it harder for them to sneak attack him. Now that they had been discovered by Chen Xiang, their only choice was to come out and fight. Only the eyes of the black-robed men were visible, the expressions in their eyes were very dull. One could clearly see that they were certainly experienced in this line of business. As soon as they appeared, each one took out a 2-edged pitch-black broadsword from their storage pouch. As they poured the true qi, they raised their swords and at the same time leapt towards Chen Xiang. The 5 killers' actions were although simple but at the same time were also quick and ruthless. In the moment they leaped, 2 flames flickered in Chen Xiang's eyes, hot qi soared from his whole body, as vermilion bird true qi suddenly poured into his arms. His right hand burst out with a fiery aura and a long fire whip congealed from vermilion bird true qi appeared in his hand. It quickly swooped towards those 5 black-robed men. As it brushed past the 5 of them, their robes were instantly ignited. The 5 black-robed men had to give up attacking Chen Xiang and retreated to one side. The flames compared to before were much more formidable now. They were not able to withstand the flames, and some even had to discard their burning robes. Chen Xiang exposed a sneer on his face. The fire whip in his hands mercilessly whipped towards a black-robed man's head. An explosion followed just after the fire whip struck the black-robed man, which was then followed by a burst of fire aura which instantly incinerated the black-robed man into ash. The vermilion bird flames were no ordinary flames, they were cultivated from the divine exercise and was thus unmatched in power. These 5 black-robed men's strengths were merely at the 5th level of the mortal martial realm, and with only this much strength, trying to senate Chen Xiang was just wishful thinking. Chen Xiang again started waving the fire whip. In the blink of an eye, he had already whipped 3 black-robed men and killed them. These black-robed men in front of the fire whip were like being in front of a hot knife. Their bodies were easily cut down in half with just a sweep of the fire whip. Only with the help of a powerful divine sense was it possible to congeal true qi into a strong weapon. Sister Yu, do you have a way to make this guy talk? Chen Xiang caught the remaining black-robed man, but he refused to say anything. Bai Yu coldly smiled. You asked the right person, just follow my instructions. First, with one hand hold down his head, then congeal out your divine sense. Operate your divine sense exactly as I tell you. First divide your divine sense in 6 parts and then pour it into his head from these 6 different locations. Chen Xiang complied immediately. This method was easy to understand and its results were also very quick. The black-robed man's eyes became noticeably sluggish and lost its trait. He also did not make any effort to struggle like before. You can now ask him. Bai Yu said. Chen Xiang praised this mysterious odd skill of Bai Yu, then to the black-robed man asked, Who sent you to kill me? Yao family 7th elder. The voice of the black-robed man was stiff and was without any trace of emotion. A trace of ruthlessness flashed in the eyes of Chen Xiang. He had not thought it would turn out to be the Yao family who sent them. He continued and asked, Where is he now? On his way to King City. That black-robed man replied. Chen Xiang lifted up the black-robed man by his robes and asked, Did you also try to assassinate those family juniors? Yes. The black-robed man replied. Chen Xiang's countenance was solemn as well as surprised. This matter turned out to be related to the Yao family. Why would the Yao family try to assassinate those families' children attending the banquet? Chen Xiang once again asked. I do not know. Black-robed man replied. Chen Xiang asked a few other questions. When he could not get anything out of the black-robed man, he killed him and incinerated his body. The sky was completely dark, various stars were ning in the sky and suddenly a vibrant red light soared across the sky. It looked similar to an ordinary meteor, but a meteor does not travel horizontally. That light was Chen Xiang. After releasing his vermilion bird firewing, he immediately rushed through the night to chase the Yao family 7th elder. It was exactly the Yao elder who was previously wounded by him. Releasing true qi, he transformed it into wings. Not only did he consume a large amount of his divine sense, but he also simultaneously consumed a lot of true qi. But since Chen Xiang practiced the 5 elements true qi, only the fire-attributed vermilion bird true qi was consumed, while the azure dragon true qi within his body was in surplus. It should be known that martial skills capable of transforming true qi into wings were not many. This type of martial skills were extremely rigorous because true qi is needed to be emitted from the back, which required an accurate control of divine sense to transform it into wings. This would make them look similar to the wings of a bird. The slightest mistake and the user would fall down, which was very dangerous. These kind of martial skills were regarded as treasures by the martial artists. Chen Xiang learned from Bai Yu and Su Meiyao that even in those martial arts sects, such skills were extremely rare. So at the time of casting this skill, Chen Xiang was especially careful, as he wanted to catch up with Yao family elder convoy without delay. If others could try to kill him, why could he not do the same? Chapter 28 King City. Chapter 28 King City Chen Xiang would absolutely not leave anyone alive after they tried to kill him. Moreover, he could not pass on such a good opportunity to weaken the Yao family. That's right. On the road of martial arts, one should kill decisively. Otherwise, if grievances are accu mulat in the heart, it will easily lead to qigong deviation. By any means, you should catch up to that fellow and behead him. Bai Yuyu's words were filled with slaughter qi. Chen Xiang was still flying. This allowed him to feel wonderful in every way. Since childhood, he had always wanted the ability to fly, and now he had it. This was all thanks to the two peerless beauties inside his ring. Sister Yuyu, how did you become Sister Meiyao's senior sister? It's difficult to imagine what kind of person your master is. Chen Xiang sighed from the bottom of his heart. If the apprentices were already this formidable, then just how powerful was their teacher? TLN. Senior sister as in senior's sister apprentice. Our teacher did not have a name. Regarding his origins, even we are not clear. Perhaps when you advance to that stage you might even be able to meet him. Bai Yuyu said. Chen Xiang was very curious about these two enigmatic girls, but at the same time, he was also very helpless since they were reluctant to disclose the information he wanted to know. Chen Xiang flew the entire night. Furthermore, he chose to fly on the outskirts of the wilderness. After the third night, he could see a carriage in the distance which was slowly moving forward on an avenue. This avenue led to King City since these types of roads were only built near King City. Chen Xiang stared at that avenue in the distance. He was vaguely able to see large houses and the King City, which was not too far away from him. Once the Yao family members set foot in King City, Chen Xiang would not have the opportunity to enact his revenge. That carriage had 2 coachmen and 2 horse-riding bodyguards. The strongest among them was the Yao family elder, and after him was Yao Tianhua. However, both had been wounded by Chen Xiang, and the strongest out of the 2 coachmen and the bodyguards were only at the 5th level of the mortal martial realm. When they came to Wohu City, there had been many people with them, but now only 1 carriage is left. Chen Xiang muttered as he flew to the front. They should have been hiding killers in the caravan. They must have first sent some people back to the Yao family as messengers, and some of them should have remained in Wohu City to guard the Spirit Dan Hall. As such, only these people are left. Chen Xiang guessed. He stopped at the edge of the avenue which was situated near a forest. After resting for a little bit, he put on a black robe and hood. After all, he was going to kill important members of the Yao family. If they came to know the ident 1. tie of the killer, a war would break out between the Yao and the Chen families. Although the night was dark, a gentle silver-white moonlight shone upon the land. This gentle pale aura allowed people not to be engulfed in utter darkness. Chen Xiang, who was hiding on a tree near the roadside, held his breath and waited for the carriage to arrive. The sound of the carriage was accompanied by the insects chirping at night. Chen Xiang's heart was as calm and tranquil as water, but on the contrary, his eyes shone with killing intent, staring at the avenue under the tree. It had arrived. Just as the carriage was passing by, Chen Xiang's body sprung like a silent arrow that was released from a bow. At the same time, he congealed out a golden long whip in his hand. Slaughter chi was emitted by the long whip, accompanied by a violent aura. The whip was congealed from the metal attributed true chi. This metal attribute corresponded to the white tiger. The white tiger divine exercise signified slaughter and ruthlessness. To further its progress, one should indulge in endless killing and comprehend the way of slaughtering. While Chen Xiang leapt towards the carriage, he ruthlessly swung the whip downwards, striking right at the middle of the carriage. With a weapon similar to a 2-edged long knife chopping down, the luxurious carriage was split into 2 with a crackling sound. 2 people simultaneously jumped out. One of them was the Yao family elder, and the other was Yao Tianhua. Which gang of bandits do you belong to? We are the Yao families. The Yao family elder had not even finished with his sentence before Chen Xiang swung his whip like lightning 4 more times, hitting the 2 coachmen and the 2 bodyguards as they were just about to draw their blades and jump off their horses. The long golden whip, which contained valiant metal-attributed true qi accompanied by slaughter qi, simultaneously struck their upper body. Similar to striking tofu, the 4 people became separate pieces of flesh and blood. This type of brutal true qi had not only made the Yao family elder and Yao Tianhua panic-stricken, even Chen Xiang could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. You are Chen Xiang. When the Yao family elder saw Chen Xiang, he suddenly shouted. However, Chen Xiang's whip had already ruthlessly struck down on his body. The Yao family elder was worthy of being a 7th level of mortal martial realm martial artist. Although he was seriously injured, he was still able to gather true qi in his body and catch the whip laden with white tiger slaughtering true qi. You really are Chen Xiang, the Yao family elder said in a high-pitched voice. The expression in his eyes could not conceal his fear. He had not thought Chen Xiang would actually dare to come and try to kill them so brutally. Chen Xiang remained silent. In his left hand, fire aura flashed while another fire whip was also congealed, and then he opened his mouth and roared, using wood attribute true qi. The azure dragon roar wreaked havoc on the Yao family elder. At this time, Chen Xiang's vermilion bird true qi whip lashed accurately above the Yao family elder's neck, breaking his head into pieces. Nearby, Yao Tianhua was already frightened by Chen Xiang. Not only could he cast the purest alchemy flame, but he could also use the metal attribute slaughtering true qi, and at the same time, he could even release wood attribute true qi. This was displaying 3 types of attributes at the same time. To Yao Tianhua's knowledge, this sort of feat had never been heard of. Chen Xiang moved towards Yao Tianhua, his eyes flash. HI+ing with killing intent. He swung the golden long whip in his hand, and it lashed towards Yao Tianhua's neck, and in that instant, Yao Tianhua emitted a panic-stricken cry as his eyes were filled with horror. As the long whip struck his neck, his head immediately fell down. With a frozen and frightened countenance, Yao Tianhua had died filled with both disbelief and resentment. He had never expected that as the Yao family genius, his death would actually happen in such a way. Chen Xiang inhaled a mouthful of air and faintly said, "Originally, at the time when you tried to stab me with your sword, I already wanted to kill you." After killing the 2 of them, Chen Xiang removed their storage pouches. They contained some spirit coins and herbs. It still could be considered as a substantial income. In order to not leave any traces, Chen Xiang tidied up the scene with great difficulty. If one was to arrive where the carriage had been, no one would be able to notice that a one-sided South Saker had taken place here. Chen Xiang walked on the avenue towards the tall and prosperous city. King's City was vast and was surrounded by thick walls. Chen Xiang looked at the endless wall and the moat outside of the city. Many people were going in and out of the enormous city gate, and many soldiers stood on the city wall and next to the gate. The lively streets were covered with smooth bricks and were full of pedestrians. Such a scene was clearly visible through the gate. Chen Xiang finally arrived inside of King City. He curiously looked around. Before, he had thought that Wohu City was quite big and lively, but now, he discovered that he was a frog in a well. He did not know just how vast King City was, but he knew that it was many times larger than Wohu City. Chapter 29 Danxiang Herbal Manor. Chapter 29 Danxiang Herbal Manor. After entering the city, Chen Xiang saw many people were gathering in front of a very long wall. He went over and found that a lot information was put up on that wall. They were either giving some directions or some kind of other informations. On top of everything, there was also a map of the entire city indicating some inns, well-known stores, imperial palace, and marital family addresses. The map itself was very detailed. Chen Xiang soon found where the Yao family was on the map. It was located not far away from the imperial palace. He also saw where the Shui family was on the map. Currently, the Shui family was still in the process of moving to King City. Another thing that had caught Chen Xiang's attention was that there was information regarding the buying and selling of items, looking for missing persons or items, and recruitment offers for various jobs. This was to help people who were new to King City. Chen Xiang swept through the myriad of information. To his surprise, a recruitment poster was posted by his granduncle. Recruiting alchemist, location is, posted by Chen Luzhong. Chen Xiang remembered the location posted and then looked at the map to find it. Granduncle moves really fast. He just arrived at King City and has already found a goods store. Chen Xiang could see from the map that the location of the store was quite good. It was situated at the corner of a crossroad, and moreover, it was a 3-story building. After memorizing the route, Chen Xiang left immediately. He soon arrived at his destination, but the store was closed and its doors were heavily damaged. There were many slashes with other markings on it. Chen Xiang tightly frowned and knocked on the door. "Who?" A very angry voice came from inside. "Granduncle, it's me." Chen Xiang replied in a low voice. At this point, he had already guessed the crux of the matter. As the door opened, Chen Xiang saw Chen Luzhong's old face filled with anger. At this time, Chen Xiang clearly saw that the inside of the shop was actually a mess. Broken chairs and walls cluttered with blade slashes. After seeing all of this, Chen Xiang suddenly clenched his fists as they made brittle sounds. His eyes were filled with anger. "Who did this?" Chen Xiang gloomily asked. He swore in his heart that he would make that person pay 10 times for what they had done. "Come inside, then we will talk," said Chen Luzhong. After Chen Xiang went inside, they went to 3rd floor. On the way up, he could see the extent of the damage done. The walls, floors and roof were all heavily damaged. It was needless to mention the chairs and tables. The more Chen Xiang looked, the more furious he got, but his facial expression was still tranquil. This made Chen Luzhong slightly surprised. On the 3rd floor, Chen Xiang and Chen Luzhong were sitting on the floor. "The backyard is still good. I had invited 2 assistants to the shop, but they have been injured. I just went to deliver some dawn and spirit coins to them." Chen Luzhong sighed. "This store was bought by me a long time ago. However, when I went out this morning, some people rushed in. Then it became like this. Who did it? I will immediately make them pay." Chen Xiang was filled with killing intent. He had already killed the Yao family elder and genius. Who wouldn't he dare to kill? "I also want to go and teach a lesson to that fellow, but they're one of the shopkeepers of the alchemy force. If we offend them, later on it will be difficult for us to sell dawn." Chen Xiang said in a cold voice, "Granduncle, you don't need to worry. Our Chen family has just entered King City. If we are bullied in front of our gate and yet yield to them, then in the future how will our Chen family be able to settle here? I also understand this. However, the alchemy forces behind the shopkeeper wants to obtain this store, but I refused. Just after I posted the recruitment notice, he made his move. He wants to make me to retreat in the face of these difficulties." Chen Xiang, while curling his lips, said, "Granduncle, you are an alchemist and surprisingly you are being oppressed by a mere shopkeeper." Chen Luzhong smilingly said, "I'm taking into consideration of the overall situation. Our Chen family has already offended the Yao family. In King City, beside the Yao family, there was one more alchemy force, and that was the Danxiang Herbal Manor. In King City and several other cities they had many branch stores. Moreover, they had always kept a low profile, but now they had actually made such a move. TLN. Danxiang equals pill, aroma or fragrance. Danxiang Herbal Manor? I'll go and find that shopkeeper. Which one of the 5 Danxiang Herbal Manors inside the King City does he have a shop?" Chen Xiang stood up while plussing the dust off his bottom. From his facial expression, anyone could clearly guess that he was not planning to give up. Chen Luzhong knew that today there was no other method to deal with this situation. He was also aware of his nephew's strength and arrogance. South Side, remember not to murder anyone. In King City murdering anyone is not a good fruit to eat asterisk. I will also go with you. Tielin, does not have a good result. Chen Xiang nodded his head, then with Chen Luzhong left the store. Granduncle, what is your current level? While being with Chen Luzhong, Chen Xiang could only sense fire qi and was unable to sense vigorous levels of true qi from Chen Luzhong. Hey, I'm not a vegetarian, but my strength still cannot be compared to your grandfather. Chen Luzhong only gave a vague answer to Chen Xiang. Little guy, King City has people that can be described as crouching tigers and hidden dragons asterisk, so I dare not to arbitrarily act. TLN equals hidden experts. Chen Xiang nodded and said, I understand, listening to what Granduncle has said, you should be very formidable. Unexpectedly you are still willing to admit defeat. Chen Luzhong while smiling said, later on, you will know sometimes it is even harder to eat a shriveled fruit. As of now no one knows the exact strength of this poor old guy. If someone provokes me, hey. Chen Luzhong's laugh was extremely sinister. Even Chen Xiang could not help but hi plus ver. If you hid your strength, you could give your enemy a very nasty surprise. This was actually a very sinister move. Soon, Chen Xiang and Chen Luzhong came inside a manor surrounded by high walls. This was the southern Danxiang herbal manor. They entered a large two-story building. Inside they came to a place where dawn were primarily sold. Brat, do not take things too far. Chen Luzhong said complainingly. Chen Xiang nodded his head and then shouted, Shopkeeper, quickly roll out. Chen Xiang poured vigorous true qi into his voice, turning it into a roar. The whole building shook slightly due to the roar. Everyone present inside was shocked. It was a surprise to them that someone came here to cause trouble, moreover it was just a teenager. The Danxiang herbal manor's business was generally good, but due to Chen Xiang's roar, everyone immediately went out and started watching the situation. Chen Xiang's roar disturbed all of the Danxiang herbal manor's personnel. A ton of bodyguards immediately rushed to the scene and surrounded Chen Xiang. These bodyguards were only at the 4th or 5th level of the mortal martial realm. Chen Xiang could judge their strength from the slight true qi emanating from their body. There were not many like Chen Xiang, who was already at the 6th level of the mortal martial realm strength at a relatively younger age. Therefore, Chen Xiang, compared to these bodyguards, was relatively strong. Chen Xiang looked around. There wasn't any trace of Chen Luzhong. Just a moment ago, Chen Luzhong blended into the crowd and had already arrived outside. It seemed that Chen Luzhong did not wish to make an appearance in this matter. Do you even know what this place is? You dare to rush here and make trouble. At last, one 30 years old or so handsome man came forward. He was wearing white luxurious clothes and an exquisite jade belt was hanging on his waist. With just one glance, everybody could guess his N.O.B.L.E. status. Chapter 30. Teach a Lesson. Chapter 30. Teach a Lesson. Although Chen Xiang's appearance was pretty simple, he looked like a teen who had just left his mother's embrace. But just from his roar alone, it was evidently clear to the bodyguards how powerful Chen Xiang was, so they did not dare to move against him. You are the shopkeeper here? After hearing his words, all the bodyguards and the people watching from outside burst into laughter. You don't even know the shopkeeper and still came here to make trouble? One bodyguard said while laughing. You have not heard about shopkeeper Hua, right? You should have heard of the city's third young master. Our shopkeeper Hua is Governor Hua's third child. You are just seeking death by trying to provoke shopkeeper Hua. Another bodyguard said as he sneered. Tielin, Governor here is city lord. After the Huafu wearing man heard people mention his name, his face could not help but reveal a sliver of pride. He nodded and said, I'm the shopkeeper of this place, Hua Xian. Why have you come? Tielin, Huafu is a Chinese N.O.B.L.E. dress. Pooh! Tielin, spitting in contempt, Chen Xiang laughingly said, I don't give a plus T. If you really had some skill, you would not even be here to be a shopkeeper by your father's arrangement. When you came here to be a shopkeeper, in your father's eyes, you were already deemed hopeless. This remark startled everyone. They did not expect Chen Xiang would dare to say something like this face to face. Hua Xian's complexion turned extremely ugly. Chen Xiang's statement wasn't far from the truth. As the son of one of the prominent figures capable of influencing one region, coming to this place and taking care of business really was nothing to be proud of, only the status was somewhat n-o-bly. I'll ask you again, was our store smashed by you and your people? Chen Xiang's complexion became incomparably cold. So what? One bodyguard with face full of anger said. Right, shopkeeper Hua took us there. Hua Xian's face muscles started to twitch. Turns out that you are here for revenge. Indeed, it was I who brought people to that store. The crowd of bodyguards behind Hua Xian started to shout out about how they damaged the store. Chen Xiang coldly said, You are only a pack of dogs if desired. Your master will not even hesitate to sell you lackeys as slaves. What are you so happy about? Glad to have found a good master? Mongrel, you seek death. One bodyguard angrily cursed and already started to rush towards him. Meanwhile, in Chen Xiang's hand, threatening hot flames suddenly appeared. A "pa" sound reverberated, and immediately after that, painful screams were heard. Chen Xiang, with his true qi, congealed out a long whip and struck the face of the bodyguard, which then made the bodyguard fly away. A charred black mark was left on the face of the bodyguard. Seeing this, the group of bodyguards, although they were shocked, still rushed at him. After all, there were many of them while the opponent was only one. Chen Xiang said in a cold voice, Since you have already admitted to doing it, I have decided not to forgive you. Suddenly, a scorching hot qi burst out from Chen Xiang's body before he fiercely started to wave the fire whip in his hand. He lashed continuously with a speed so fast that others' eyes could not even get a glimpse of it. It even produced numerous after images. For everyone, it was similar to Chen Xiang holding multiple whips and plusing at them. Limitless fire whips, that were like innumerable salamanders, overwhelmingly lashed towards the group of bodyguards. Hua Xian and his bunch couldn't even dodge. Just in the blink of an eye, they were whipped innumerable times with the fire whip. The fire whip continued to lash at them with madness, plusing them on nearly every part of their body. This had left numerous charred black marks on them, burning them down to their marrow, making them yell due to the intermittent pain. In just a few moments, each person had at least 3 whip marks, releasing true qi outside the body, which created a form from it. One could clearly see that he was at the 6th level of mortal martial realm. Chen Xiang's true qi was terribly vigorous, like a scorching hot breath with an invisible powerful pressure. Chen Xiang's flames were cultivated out by the vermilion bird divine exercise. Vermilion bird was a revered beast, and any ordinary person in the face of such invisible almighty pressure would quiver in fear. Hua Xian himself knew he had kicked an iron wall and unexpectedly annoyed a 6th level of mortal martial realm martial artist, but he remembered that earlier, the store only had a poor old man of an unknown origin. Danxiang Herbal Manor will not let you get away with this. Our manor lord is very powerful. Hua Xian, while grinding his teeth, spoke, but just as he finished speaking, a fire whip ruthlessly lashed on his mouth. At this point, Hua Xian had to admit that the martial artist in front of him was indeed very powerful. In just a short moment of time and a little effort, he hit them to the extent that they couldn't defend themselves anymore. Moreover, in their bodies, remnants of fire qi were still left. If they fail to expel them out quickly, it will have huge effects on their future cultivation. Tell your manor lord, if he wants revenge, despite everything that has happened, he can come and find me in the store. Chen Xiang dropped these words and left. Although there were some bodyguards still left unharmed outside, no one dared to stop him. After watching Chen Xiang leave, Everyone present outside were slightly excited. They already started spreading rumors of what they saw. In the backyard of the store, Chun Luzhong laughingly said, "Brat, you have not only offended the Danxiang herbal manor but also the King City Governor. If I was you, I would have already left." Chun Xiang spoke with a contemptuous look. "Granduncle, were you already aware that the shopkeeper was the King City's governor's son? You disappeared in the blink of an eye." Chun Luzhong smiled and said, "My old bones are not like you youngsters. I can't afford to act crazily, therefore, the following matter is for you to resolve. I'm only responsible for some leisure matters, that's all." Chun Xiang had been Plusing for several days. This time, he was very tired, so he wanted to rest well. Soon, he would have to face Danxiang Herbal Manor's lord and the King City Governor. Chun Xiang had already made some plans to deal with them. That's why he dared to hit the governor's son. After all, in this world, the power of wealth was extremely powerful. Of course, the true strength was still a lot stronger compared to the power of wealth. Chun Xiang, that Danxiang Herbal Manor is very likely to be a branch division of one of the sections. Su Meiyao appeared from inside the ring and spoke to Chun Xiang. Chun Xiang, at this time, was soaking in a bathtub. Su Meiyao's sudden appearance shocked him. Before he spoke, "Sister Meiyao, why didn't you say so earlier?" Su Meiyao, while looking at Chun Xiang's exposed strong muscles, smiled charmingly. "Rest assured, Danxiang Taoyuan is a friendly sect. Moreover, they make a clear distinction between right and wrong. I believe that the manor lord will not find you for trouble." Chun Xiang let out a loose yet deep breath and smilingly said, "Sister Meiyao, the water is still quite warm. Come bathe with me. I'm going to let senior sister accompany you. Although she is icy, she very much likes taking hot baths." Su Meiyao chuckled as she spoke. Chun Xiang coughed twice and asked, "Is Danxiang Taoyuan the name of the sect?" Chun Xiang very much yearned to enter those big sections. Su Meiyao came next to the big tub and said, "Among the 8 major sects, Danxiang Taoyuan's expertise regarding pills even makes other sects jealous. Then wouldn't it be great for me to enter Danxiang Taoyuan? After all, it is an alchemy-related sect." Su Meiyao shook her head. "I don't recommend you doing that. As for alchemy, I can teach you. You should enter the extreme martial sect. When it comes to strength of the sect, it is at the pinnacle of all the 8 major sections. It's been founded for quite a number of years, and the first dean of the extreme martial sect is a legendary figure. To be able to enter those martial arts sects, Chun Xiang cultivated even more diligently, because he had to reach the 9th level of mortal martial realm before he could truly start his journey. TLN. Danxiang Taoyuan equals Pill Fragrance Paradise Extreme Martial Sect equals Tai Wu Men. Chapter 31. Manor Lord, Governor. Chapter 31. Manor Lord, Governor Chun Xiang had successfully refined 3 baptizing Marodon and placed them in his mouth, then immediately started to operate the Tai Chi divine exercise. While simulating the potency of the pills, he also started to absorb the 5 elements of Qi in between the heaven and earth. Furthermore, he also casted the dragon saliva exercise, while creating the accelerating growth catalyst for the spirit herb in the dew process, the dragon saliva. The next morning, the sun had just started to rise and King City was already very noisy. The Danxiang Herbal Manor news had already been spread among the whole city. This was just a small issue, and as long as body was killed, it was just a simple matter for the governor. But yesterday, his own son was beaten. If the governor wasn't going to intervene, then he would become a laughingstock to everyone. Therefore, the entrance of Chun Luzhong's store was already surrounded by many guards. On the avenue, 2 luxurious horse carriages were respectively driving directly towards the store. These luxurious horse carriages stopped just before the entrance of the store. There were many guards around the carriages, but only one carriage belonged to the Danxiang Herbal Manor, whereas the others belonged to the governor. Both parties were here for the same purpose, and that was to find Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang was still training in his room, but with his keen senses, he was able to hear the commotion at the entrance. He immediately woke up and carefully listened to the voices. Manor Lord Hua, I did not expect that you would personally come here regarding my son's issue. I know my son has really caused trouble for you, but please do forgive him. From the black horse carriage, only a man's voice could be heard, and this voice belonged to the famous governor of the king city of the southern martial empire, Hua Gaoyun. Well, your son this time brought a lot of troubles for the Danxiang herbal manor. I didn't come here for him, I came because I couldn't sit idly and do nothing while someone has come to trouble my Danxiang herbal manor. A sliver of anger could be felt in this beautiful voice. Chen Xiang couldn't help but be surprised. Danxiang herbal manor's lord turned out to be a girl. After tidying himself, Chen Xiang left his room through the backyard and entered the store inside where Chen Luzhong was already present. Grand uncle, how come you didn't hide this time? Chen Xiang asked in a whisper. Meanwhile, he heard a knock. Shouldn't I worry about you, brat? The governor and manor lord are not people you can mess with. After opening the door, Chen Xiang and Chen Luzhong saw the bold and powerful soldiers standing outside. Of course, the most striking were the 2 horse carriages. What do you want? Chen Luzhong asked while laughing. From the 2 carriages inside, 2 people got down. The one with the robust body was the governor. He had a very small beard on his middle-aged face, wearing a golden robe and adorned with S.H.I. plus New York gold ornaments. The other was Danxiang herbal manor's lord. A girl with a graceful figure and a gentle smile, wearing a blue skirt, face covered with a white muslin, revealing a pair of youthful and pretty eyes. When she saw Chen Xiang and Chen Luzhong, those clear-like-water eyes suddenly glittered with a slight S.H.I. plus myrrh. Was it you who injured my son? Hua Gaoyun swept past Chen Xiang with his 2 eyes as he asked. Yes. On Chen Xiang's face there was no fear. Although he was facing 2 N.O. figures of King City, he was still very calm. He could see that Hua Gaoyun's strength had reached the 8th level of mortal martial realm. He was not only fearless, but also wanted to have a contest with him. At this time, a group of people from the crowd rushed out and pointed at Chen Xiang as they cursed. And it was evidently clear from their covered body in gauzes, these people were the bodyguards wounded by Chen Xiang at the manor lord. This is the guy who rushed into our Danxiang herbal manor and wounded us and the shopkeeper. One bodyguard, while grimacing in pain, said. Hua Gaoyun coldly smiled, then turned to the manor lord and said, Now that it is confirmed, Manor Lord Hua, how do you say we dispose of him? The next words of Manor Lord Hua made surprised everyone. The partakers who damaged this store are hereby expelled from the Danxiang herbal manor. Although the young master indeed caused trouble with our manor, but it was all because we Danxiang herbal manor's people were wrong earlier, therefore we are not investigating. Hua Yueyun, take this opportunity to apologize to the young master, and also, the Danxiang herbal manor will compensate for the young master's losses. Danxiang herbal manor's lord went as far as to apologize to a person. Hua Gaoyun was not the only one who was shocked. Chen Xiang and Chen Luzhong were also puzzled, but their impression of the manor lord had improved at this time. As Su Meiyao had said, this Danxiang herbal manor's lord is indeed a person with a clear distinction between right and wrong. Although Manor Lord Hua let you off, I will not do the same. Catch him. This person caused trouble in King City, and injured many people. Be sure to deal with him ruthlessly. Hua Gaoyun was not as easy as soft and gentlewoman. Hua Yueyun slightly sighed and said, Governor Hua, these 2 present before your eyes are alchemists. Are you really going to make enemy with alchemists? Hua Gaoyun was shocked, as well as those bodyguards and the soldiers too. That young man and the old man before their eyes were alchemists, it should be known the ident. Tie of alchemists were very rare in the southern martial empire. particularly the old alchemist. They were generally in a formidable family, at a very high position, and garnering respect. How would he appear here and moreover in such a poor condition? Chen Xiang and Chen Luzhong from the start never said a word. They calmly stood there, fearlessly. Chen Luzhong said, "Governor Hua, this old man had bought this store many years before. Your son wanted to buy this from my hands, but I did not sell it, so he took advantage of my absence and brought people to destroy it. If you don't believe me, you can go in and take a look. Mister, you should be the Hall Lord of Wohu City's Spirit Dan Hall, and this young master must be the famous genius of the Qin family." Qin family genius. Was he not the one who trounced against both the Yao family genius and elder? Famous throughout the whole southern martial empire, Chen Xiang? He actually came to King City, moreover together with Spirit Dan Hall's lord. Everyone had long known that Spirit Dan Hall's lord was treated as anti and lost to the Qin family. Now, I am not a hall lord, just an old servant of this brat. Chen Luzhong laughed, but his words scared the H.E.L. out of everybody. Spirit Dan Hall's lord was a relatively well-known figure in southern martial empire, and had now become a mere servant of someone. If they didn't hear this from his own mouth, people would never believe it. Hua Gaoyun eyebrows were continuously moving up and down. The other two were alchemists, and he didn't think that his own idiot son would have a dispute with alchemists. That's definitely not a wise move. Chen Xiang looked at Hua Gaoyun and coldly said, "Governor Hua, your son tried to seize our Qin family property. If it would have been someone else, I would have definitely slain him. You should know, if one's family property is threatened, it is a very serious issue." Chen Xiang's words were filled with slaughter chi. The majority of the crowd couldn't help but have SHI plus ver run down their spines. The Chen family wasn't a martial artists' aristocratic family inside King City, but they still had inheritance from many years back. Their profound heritage still could not be overlooked. Hua Gaoyun wrinkled his brows, his face filled with anger, yet he couldn't even attack. If he did so, he would have to consider the retaliation from the Chen family. Although his and the Yao family relations, HI plus P was pretty good, it was only a relations, HI plus P for mutual benefit. "Let's go," Hua Gaoyun coldly shouted. He swallowed down the anger inside his heart and embarked on his carriage to leave. TLN. There is no relation between the governor and manor lord. Their surname Hua are not the same, both have two different character and sound. Chinese is phonetic language, so each character may seem similarly written, but their sounds are different. Hua Gaoyun equals Hua Gaoyun Hua Yuyun equals Hua Yuyun. This chapter was edited by a simple melody, an avid reader who helped me edit previous chapter. Chapter 32. Sex Disciple. Chapter 32. Sex Disciple. Hua Yueyun commanded some people to enter the store and estimate the damages, then said to Chen Xiang, "If the two of you have some time, you can always come to Danxiang Herbal Manor as guests. We'll always welcome you too." After Hua Yueyun departed, Chen Luzhong held his waist and said while smiling, "You think this woman is interesting, right?" Chen Xiang whispered while his SHI plus Ning eyes were looking at the distant carriage. "This woman's schemes are very deep. I sense that she wants to win us over." "You're overthinking." Despite being a woman, she could still govern such a large pill force. She had long been accustomed to gnawing the bones till nothing was left. Why would she need to use any underhanded means to win us over? 5 days quickly said. The store was brand new and was all done at no cost. Danxiang Herbal Manor had sent people to repair it, and as long as there were enough pills and alchemists, the store would soon be open. Chen Xiang came to King City for two purposes. One was to start the pill store, and other was to partake 1p8 in the martial arts tournament of King City. King City's martial arts tournament had already begun accepting registrations. Although there were more than 2 months before it started, Chen Xiang had went to sign up early. Chen Xiang had also learnt some information along the way. Sek's disciple would indeed appear at the tournament, but they weren't going to partake. 1p8 in it, rather, they were just here to observe. For several days, Chen Xiang and Chen Luzhong were very busy refining pills. In order for the business to run smoothly, they had to refine a large number of pills. Granduncle, with just the two of us refining pills, this is not the way to go. I don't know if we'll be able to continue like this. Chen Xiang had just refined a baptizing Marodan, but the herbs he had to buy were from the Danxiang herbal manor. Young man, you think it is so easy to open up a store? If we don't have at least 5 alchemists, it'll be difficult to sustain. Even after opening the store, we'd have to wait for the customers to come and buy. As I see it, it'll take at least 2 to 3 years before we can run smoothly. Chen Luzhong's reply made Chen Xiang stamp his feet anxiously. He couldn't wait for so long. In order to attract alchemists, he could only use some precious spirit herbs. Chen Xiang had planned to ripen a batch of herbs, so he immediately left the alchemy room, but when he arrived inside the store, he saw several people standing inside. These people were 1 old man and 4 handsome teenagers. The breath released from their bodies were very pure, which give people a strange feeling. This kind of purest true qi couldn't be cultivated out in the mortal world. You are. Humph, you are Chen Xiang. That white-haired old man shouted, his face both mighty and angry, and also those 4 teenagers had put on a high and mighty act while looking at Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang frowned, clenching his fist, and said coldly, "Right. Are you here to make trouble?" At this time Chen Luzhong also came out. When he saw that old man he also froze for a moment, his body still trembling. Apparently he was very afraid of this old man. You are. Chen Luzhong was speechless. He actually knew this old man. That old man spoke. Right, I am Chen Furong. 50 years ago, I left the Chen family and entered a martial arts sect, and this time I came back to recruit some sect disciples, but I heard some bad news. Chen Xiang was shocked inside his heart. This person responsible for recruiting sect disciple unexpectedly was one of the Chen family elders, but this elder seemed to be somewhat discontented with him. You dare to be enemies with the Yao family. You should know when I was inside the martial arts sect, the Yao family members had helped me a lot. Chen Furong glared at Chen Xiang. Simultaneously, he released true qi pressing towards Chen Xiang, which made Chen Xiang suddenly feel as if his body weighed 10,000 jin. TLN. Jin equals Chinese measurement of weight, 1 jin equals 500 g. Astonishment from Chen Luzhong's face had faded away and was replaced with coldness. He is the Chen family's once in 1,000 years born rare good seedling, but you embarrass him for your own selfish reason. This reason alone is enough for you not to have any qualification to be a member of the Chen family. When Chen Furong heard this statement, he restrained his breath, and looked at Chen Luzhong to determine his power level. As he was unable to see his power level, he contemptuously said, "What good seed? This little devil? Just casually grab anyone inside my sect, and they will be much stronger than him. My 4 apprentices behind me will be able to win very easily against him." Just as Chen Furong's last words fell, Chen Xiang's stature moved similar to lightning. Azure aura started to surge into his fist, with flash. Hi+ing lightning aura and carrying vigorous and tyrannical lightning power, struck towards the teenager. This sudden fierce attack left that teenager simply no time to dodge. His chest was ruthlessly hit by Chen Xiang's fist. Blood spilled from his mouth, and was forced to retreat couple of steps before coming to a stop. "Just so," Chen Xiang faintly said. He completely saw through Chen Furong. He now knew that the Chen family elder had no loyalty towards the Chen family. In order to befriend the Yao family, he was even dealing with his own clansmen. Chen Xiang's sudden action made Chen Furong unceasingly shocked and angry. He had only heard of Chen Xiang's strength but never witnessed it, but now it seems it was indeed amazing. even capable of slightly injuring a martial arts sect disciple. This is the strength of a martial arts sect disciple? Chen Xiang said in contempt while glancing at the four teenagers, which in turn made the four teenager extremely furious. If you did not sneak attack me, you wouldn't even be able to touch me. The teenager, while wiping his blood-stained mouth, angrily retorted. So how about we have a little fight? Chen Xiang kneaded his fists, while on his face the intention to fight could be seen. Let's fight. The teenager's heart was filled with anger. Only by fighting would he be able to vent his anger that resided in his heart. Chen Furong did not try to stop them. He retreated to one side blankly. This left a little space open. At this time, the teenager and Chen Xiang both rushed towards each other. The teenager's steps were very light. It was similar to superficially treading, only using the tip of the toes. Not only was it fast, but he carried himself with a strong momentum. Mortal Martial Realm Level 6. Chen Xiang judged the teenager's strength immediately. The teenager saw Chen Xiang motionlessly standing there, his whole body full of openings. When he saw Chen Xiang trying to guard from his steps, he was secretly proud of himself. He leapt into the sky, both his feet continuously sent out flying kicks. Suddenly, after images were overflowing from the top of the sky and surged towards Chen Xiang. Vigorous true qi shook the air with a loud noise. Obviously this teenager's kicking method was impressive. Chen Xiang didn't imagine this kind of attack, and at that moment, he simply couldn't escape the countless leg shadows. He didn't think this little weak-looking teenager would know such an overbearing kicking technique. Deng deng deng, Chen Xiang's body in a blink of an eye flew and kicked dozens of times. Afterwards, he fell on top of a wooden table which destroyed it immediately. Humph! You are also just SOSO. The teenager said in disdain. Just as he finished, Chen Xiang jumped into the sky and stood straight, beating his clothes like nothing ever happened. The teenagers as well as Chen Furong were completely astonished. You! I truly kicked your body a moment ago, but how can you afford to withstand my powerful true qi? I had at least kicked your body 10 or so times. On each kick I poured very powerful true qi. That teenager with a serious complexion said. Only few people among the same level were capable of remaining safely unharmed under his kicking method. Chen Xiang lightly smiled and said, That move of yours was really good, but it was still average. While speaking, Chen Xiang dashed towards the teenager and with his fists, strikes similar to giant axe-cutting mountains, were continuously struck out. Every fist strike had momentum similar to a giant river's flow, bursting out a flurry of explosions. Each fist transformed into ferocious tiger heads, shocking the air, as if ferocious tigers were roaring in anger. Uninterrupted and quick, Chen Xiang's fist made countless afterimages similar to violent storms striking towards the teenage. The reaction of the teenager was very quick. Wind revolved around his body before it was covered in a layer of golden brilliance, which was metal attribute true qi, and he released a true qi cover to protect himself. Edited by A Simple Melody. Chapter 33. Hua Yueyun. Chapter 33. Hua Yueyun. The teenager's true qi Hi plus ELD was also very intrepid, as it was even able to withstand Chen Xiang's crazy lightning fist strike. Even so, Chen Xiang still didn't pay any attention to it. Suddenly a trace of fiery red qi started to mix with his green true qi. Till now Chen Xiang was only using wood-attributed Azure Dragon true qi, but now he started to add fire-attributed Zhu Ke true qi. As both true qi fused and superimposed on each other, their combined might was more than just double. Chen Furong's pupils contracted as Chen Xiang's true qi color changed, because one person possessing two types of true qi was rarely seen. The golden true qi Hi plus ELD covering the teenager's body slightly vibrated before Chen Xiang's fists shook his firm true qi Hi plus ELD. Chen Xiang's fists, with an explosive roar, suddenly gushed out scorching hot flames with lightning blowing inside the flames. An all-around powerful and oppressive aura-like wave violently surged, completely shaking everything. Chen Xiang's fists bombarded again, while lightning and fire were flash. Hi+ing inside. Hong hong hong. Chen Xiang's fists were quick as always. In a blink of an eye, tens of fists struck on the teenager's golden true chi-s. Hi+ELD, sending out thunderous roars, loudly shaking the ground, and soon after, spreading to the whole pavilion in all four directions. With madness, continuously striking out fist while bursting continuous roars, watching this level of crazy attack, Chen Luzhong Chen Furong, as well as those teenagers watching, were in awe. They did not think that the young Chen Xiang's true qi was vigorous to this degree, madly able to cast out such fierce true qi attacks. The golden qi-s. Hi+ELD covering the teenager's body covered already started to dim down. He was beaten back by Chen Xiang, and his body was numbing in pain as his golden true qi-s. Hi+ELD was shaken by Chen Xiang's crazy fist strength. Break! Chen Xiang heavily shouted. While jumping, on his fists lightning and fire burst out as they struck towards the teenager's body like a meteor. Directly breaking the teenager's golden qi, the teenager flew out and crashed through the wall, falling on the avenue outside as a mouthful of blood surged out before he fainted. Chen Xiang's gaze swept past the other teenagers and coldly shouted, "Would you also like to come?" The three teenagers couldn't even speak. At this time, they were unable to calm down. Fear was clearly visible on their face. The level of slaughter qi emitted by Chen Xiang was similar to a great general who was perennially engaged in slaughtering. "Let's go." Chen Furong was speechless. Chen Xiang's strength also made him deeply shocked. He could see Chen Xiang's martial skill was very strong and frightening. Wait, he is one of the big sect's disciple. Although we exchanged some pointers, as I was not careful and wounded him, I have to heal him to avoid the jealousy and hatred of the sect. Immediately after Chen Xiang took out an alchemy furnace, he sat down cross-legged while taking out some spirit herbs from his storage pouch. Chen Xiang actually wanted to refine a pill. "Certainly you can directly heal him. Why bother?" Chen Furong Impa, as Sively said. Chen Xiang, while sneering, said, "You can try and see if ordinary pills will heal him. He was injured by my fire and lighting true qi. If he doesn't have the corresponding pill, his wounds will have a hard time healing." After speaking, Chen Xiang began to pour flames inside the furnace. Meanwhile, Chen Furong carried the teenager from the avenue. He determined that the teenager was seriously injured as he probed the wounds. Moreover, lighting and fire qi had entered the body from the wounds, and these lighting and fire were not common lightning and fire. "Half an hour said. Chen Furong and his apprentices had been silent, patiently waiting, and they also wanted to take a look at Chen Xiang's alchemy technique. Chen Xiang opened the furnace lid while a pill aroma wafted out. It only took half an hour to refine the healing pill. This was 2D, and fast. This made Chen Furong and the three teenagers extremely scared. "This is a great rejuvenating Dan, middle-grade mortal-level Dan." Chen Xiang handed out a pink Dan to Chen Furong. He did this so that the Chen family senior wouldn't hate him, as well as changed Chen Furong's opinion about him. Middle-grade mortal-level Dan. Chen Xiang only took half an hour to refine it. As Chen Furong received the Dan, he immediately determined that it was genuine. At this time, he had to admit that Chen Xiang was someone with an immeasurable future. "Do you want to start a business by selling Dawn? Here, there is not only the Danxiang herbal manor, but also the Yao family. With just the two of you refining pills, this store will surely fail. This idea is simply too naive. I will make the Chen family stop you. This is simply a waste of money. Chen Xiang, here is a tip. It is best if you go and apologize to the Yao family." Chen Furong, after dropping this sentence, left with the teenagers. With Chern Furong gone, Chern Luzhong said with a sigh, "This guy has always been very selfish, therefore he left the Chern family a long time ago. I simply did not imagine that he would have received the Yao family's grace and actually came here to deal with his own clan member. If your grandfather was here, he would have punished him." Chen Xiang asked as he cleaned the floor. "Granduncle, great sect's disciple all have this level of strength?" Chen Luzhong shook his head and said, "They are just outer sect disciples. If it would have been an inner sect disciple or a true disciple, then you would simply have no chance of winning. Chen Furong should have a relatively high position among outer sect's disciple." Chen Xiang was shocked. He had estimated that Chen Furong's strength was at least at the 9th level of mortal martial realm, and he was only an outer sect disciple. Then what is the level of inner sect and true disciples? "I have to go look and hire some alchemists," Chen Xiang said. He already had some plans about how to proceed. Most of the alchemists inside the King City have already joined other forces. In order to find some will be somewhat difficult. Chen Luzhong sighed because alchemists were very rare and so, many forces fought over them. Chen Xiang said while he rolled his eyes, "I have to go to Danxiang Herbal Manor. I'll look for that woman to discuss about some business." Soon after Chen Xiang put down the broom, he ran out of the store towards the biggest Danxiang Herbal Manor, located in the central region of the King City. This was also the headquarters of all the Danxiang Herbal Manor located in King City. The Danxiang Herbal Manor headquarters was a giant manor. Chen Xiang entered inside while indicating his ident. One Tai. Immediately after, he was received with warm welcome. One maid took him through many halls and courtyards inside the manor, eventually coming to a colorful and gorgeous garden, and amidst the garden was a small house. The aroma wafting from the flower beds made Chen Xiang feel somewhat refreshed. Then from inside the house came an enchanting and gentle voice, "Young Master Chen, please come in. I knew you would come visit." An attractive laughter sounded out and Hua Yueyun words slightly stunned Chen Xiang. In his heart, he subtly cursed Vixen, then pulled himself together and walked forward. Chen Xiang came to a small hall full of exquisite aroma. Inside the hut he saw an enchanting woman with a graceful posture and beautiful appearance was preparing some tea leaves. Previously, Hua Yueyun had covered her face with a veil so Chen Xiang wasn't able to see her face, but now that he saw, it was much more beautiful than he had imagined, but this time, she was wearing a white transparent gauze skirt. You could partly see her jade lotus-like arms, as well as her sultry and slender legs. Her pretty waist was visible through her thin veil, as well as her milk-white ample bosom with a deep ravine. This was B.U.T.T. naked temptation. If Chen Xiang didn't have extremely good control over his mind against stunning beauties, he probably would have already been under their control. This left him puzzled about why such a stunning figure was here. Edited by A Simple Melody. Chapter 34, Temptation. Chapter 34, Temptation. Hua Yueyun's little red mouth was slightly stretched before she took a sip of the petal tea. Seemingly speechless and enchanted, with a sweet smile hanging on her face, she said to Chen Xiang, "Young master, what say we get down to business over a cup of tea?" Chen Xiang touched his nose. He suddenly felt a little embarrassed, said, because he just had a martial art contest with someone. Moreover, he had also refined a set of herbs of the great rejuvenating Dan, so he was more or less covered in sweat and dressed very sloppy. He smiled and said, "Manor Lord Hua, compared to the beauties outside, you are much more beautiful, and I just do not understand why would Manor Lord Hua be so warm towards me. This pause. Shaun truly made me feel very hot. Finished speaking, Chen Xiang cursed Yao Jing in his heart. Soon after, a fire secretly started burning in his lower abdomen. TLN. Yao Jing equals alluring woman or evil spirit who is enchanting and beautiful. Although on the surface, he was calm, he was actually very restless in his heart. He had seen Bai Yuyu and Su Meiyao's jade-like body before, and also had intimate contacts with the little fairy-like soft refined dust Shui Xianxian. Moreover, he had also seen the remarkably graceful empress of the divine weapon Heavenly Empire. He had to admit that the Hua Yueyun in front of him was indeed like lilies and roses, and that her appearance was comparable to the several beauties he had seen. TLN. Soft refined dust. I just translated as written, but in Chinese it is used to describe a woman in elegant way who is pure and not tainted by any other worldly things. Not that kind which you are thinking, more in good way. Smiley face. Young master already has Shui Xianxian, that talented little fairy. How could you think highly of this little miss? Hua Yueyun pretended to be self-deprecating, and on her pretty face a trace of envy was visible. Chen Xiang no longer excessively looked at this beautiful woman. He drank a cup of petal tea and said, "Manor Lord Hua, let's get to the point. I want to dispose 1,000-year-old blood spirit GRAS. And I think that Manor Lord Hua should give me a satisfactory price." When Hua Yueyun heard this, she no longer Zulihara said this innocent young boy. She sat down and poured him more tea and said, "You caught me by surprise. This is 1,000-year blood spirit GRAS, and you are an alchemist. Is it that you don't know how precious it is? If young master is short on money, then this little miss can lend you some first." Chen Xiang was surprised in his heart. He wasn't clear about why he got her favor. How was he able to make such a mature, stunning beauty act so intimately with him, even lend him some money? This woman's schemes are very heavy, I have to be careful. Chen Xiang fully realized that the truth was anything but gallant. "No, I don't want to owe anybody. If Manor Lord Hua is not willing, then I will find someone else." Chen Xiang stood up. He did not want to get enticed by this woman again. After all, this was not good for him. Hua Yueyun sighed lightly, sipped the tea while looking dejected, faintly said, "While in the eyes of others I'm a superior manor lord, but my real ident. 1. Tai is nothing but a maidservant of the Danxiang Taoyuan. Just because I was comparatively more beautiful and a little clever, I was sent here to assume control of the Danxiang herbal manor. So this girl, as beautiful as a heavenly immortal, was just a maidservant." For Chen Xiang it was implausible. "Young Master Chen, you are but a rare genius. Whether it is strength or alchemy, both are inherent. Even in martial arts sects, it would be very difficult to find someone like you. I want to say openly, I want to pull you into the Danxiang Taoyuan. That way I can obtain rewards from the Danxiang Taoyuan, and you can leave this Ned place with meager spirit qi." Hua Yueyun grumbled tenderly and pitifully, looking at Chen Xiang. One martial arts sect recruiting a good seedling. For a sect, that was a good thing, but Chen Xiang felt somewhat uncertain. "You mean, after you enroll me into the Danxiang Taoyuan, you will gain some benefits? You do not look like a maidservant. I sense your strength to be at least at 8th level of mortal martial realm." Hua Yueyun was slightly taken back. "Young Master Chen has good eyes. To tell you the truth, after entering the Danxiang Taoyuan, I'll only get the reward once you become a true disciple, because many geniuses are unable to enter the true martial realm. I've personally seen many of those geniuses." Chen Xiang said with a smirk, "You have been fooling a lot of people." Hua Yueyun pouted her little mouth. "I've never lied to them, which is why they voluntarily went to the Danxiang Taoyuan. Moreover, it was not harmful for them." Chen Xiang shook his head and said, "I do not want to enter the Danxiang Taoyuan, I want to enter the extreme martial sect." Hua Yueyun said with contempt, "Extreme martial sect? Young Master Chen, you know amongst the 8 major faction, the extreme martial sect is the most difficult to enter. Extreme martial sect, no matter how talented you are, as long you cannot pass through their tests, you will be rejected from the gate." Chen Xiang's gaze became sharp, said, "This is challenging." Hua Yueyun wrinkled her nose and with an angry humph said, "Fool, you've me leading you into the Danxiang Taoyuan and you don't want to enter, your H.E.L. bent going into that B.L.O.O.D.Y extreme martial sect. You're going to regret it later." "Regretting is still my issue, thanks for Manor Lord Hua's concern." Chen Xiang slightly smiled to her. Hua Yueyun nibbled her red lip, looking at Chen Xiang with resentment. She murmured, "Don't call me something like Manor Lord Hua, I'm just a maidservant. I cannot stand this tea. Since you know who I am, don't be so flattering. Just call me Yueyun, or I will not sell any dawn to your Chen family." Just a moment ago, she could eternally enthrall someone with her peerless charm, and now, she turned into an angry little girl, which made Chen Xiang laugh involuntarily. "Yueyun, now can we talk about that 1,000-year-old blood spirit GRASS? Hua Yueyun drank 2 cups of tea, and after dispersing the anger in her heart, she said, "Chen Xiang, since you insist on selling, I'll not urge you. You're really a fool. Not only do you want to sell this precious spirit herb, but you also want to reject my invitation to enter the Danxiang Taoyuan. Shui Xian, this heavenly pampered daughter, why does she fancy an idiot like you?" Speaking of which, Hua Yueyun's pretty face full of anger had a totally different kind of charm. Looking at her, Chen Xiang secretly admired her in his heart. If Hua Yueyun came to know about this, she would certainly fly into a rage. "If you are in urgent need of money, if you want, I can lend you some. Although I'm just a maidservant, I have a lot of spirit coins and I can also freely mobilize spirit coins of the Danxiang Herbal Manor." "Woman, you're getting really long-winded. Give me a price." "I don't want to owe you," said Chen Xiang while curling his lips. Hua Yueyun spat and said, 400,000 spirit coins. Chen Xiang was satisfied with this price. He nodded and said, "And I would also like to buy some of the spirit herbs." Chen Xiang took out a list as well as the 1,000-year blood spirit GRASS. Hua Yueyun sighed after taking the 1,000-year blood spirit GRASS. "If you enter the Danxiang Taoyuan and become a true disciple, I can be your maidservant. At that time I will be yours forever." Chen Xiang's eyebrows rose. That was a very big temptation, but he refused. Xian, this little girl will be jealous." Hua Yueyun stuck her tongue out and said, "Talking to this fool is like talking to a dead person. Wait for my return." Looking at that writhing charming waist of Hua Yueyun as she left, Chen Xiang let out a deep breath. This time Su Meiyao laughingly said, "This is a formidable little Yao Jing. If she is capable of making you a true disciple, that is indeed a very good thing. You should know that inside those martial arts sects, a true disciple's status is very high." "Why?" Bai Yu said, "Simple, because true disciples are in or above true martial realm. Although those martial sects are very big and have numerous disciples, true disciples are not many, and true disciples basically represent the strength of the whole sect." Chapter 35. Metal Spirit Fruit. Chapter 35. Metal Spirit Fruit. At this point, Chen Xian wanted more and more to experience what it felt like to be in a sect. But, even those who were in the 8th and 9th level of the mortal martial realm were only outer sects disciples. From this, it was clear how competitive it was, let alone to enter the extreme martial sect. Extreme martial sect has really harsh conditions. Can I even become a true disciple? Chen Xiang muttered. Sure, you have yin and yang divine veins, and being personally taught by us 2 sisters, as long as you work hard, in the future you will definitely become strong enough to even reign over an entire region. Bai Yu said resolutely and decisively, as she was very confident in Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang waited for a while before Hua Yueyun returned. This time, she wore a purple robe and skirt, not like before, as she was now looming with temptation, which made Chen Xiang feel somewhat disappointed. These are the things that you wanted along with the leftover spirit coins. Hua Yueyun placed the spirit coins and some herbs wrapped in paper on the table. Chen Xiang didn't bother checking and directly received them inside his storage pouch, thus showing his trust in Hua Yueyun, which made Hua Yueyun secretly happy in her heart. Have you registered to partake 1P8 in King City's martial arts tournament? This southern martial empire is under the jurisdiction of the true martial sect forces. Hua Yueyun asked because she was obviously concerned about Chen Xiang. After some thinking, Chen Xiang said, I will partake 1P8, but I'm not going to join the true martial sect. I'm just partake 1P8ing for the true elemental Dan. Looking at Chen Xiang leaving, Hua Yueyun shook her head and lightly sighed. Disappointment was evident in her pretty eyes. Previously, she was able to make this kind of callow teenager submit to her with just a few words. However, now, not only did she talk a lot, she was also rather enticing while she spoke. Yet, in the end, she still wasn't able to persuade Chen Xiang. Chen Xiang sold the 1,000-year blood spirit GRAS for 400,000 spirit coins, and then with 100,000 spirit coins, purchased a lot of mature spirit herbs. Among these spirit herbs, the most precious of all was the metal spirit fruit seed. TLN. Here in the end I translated as seed, but the actual translation would be fruit nuclei, well basically seed. Smiley face. Metal spirit fruit was a high-grade profound level spirit fruit, and was as precious as the 1,000-vein fruit. Reportedly, it would only appear once every 1,000 years. Whether it was the pulp or the peel, they were of great usage, especially in refining high-grade dawn. Adding some of it during the refining could allow an increase of the quality of the dawn, and also increasing the chance of congealing the dawn. Chen Xiang had just purchased a metal spirit fruit seed, and it would be used for planting a metal spirit tree. The seed was also used in alchemy, but no one had ever thought of growing a tree from it, because it needed an exceedingly long time to grow. Even if someone were to grow one, they'd still have to wait 1,000 years, before the tree would bear a fruit for the first time. But this wasn't the same for Chen Xiang. These days, he had mulat a lot of dragon saliva. Continually irrigating the seed with it, he would be able to produce the metal spirit fruit quickly. Chen Xiang was in the small courtyard. He planted the seed, before he took out a jade bottle filled with the dragon saliva. Now he needed to nurture the seed, so there was no need to dilute the dragon saliva with water. He just had to directly drip it on the metal spirit fruit's seed inside the soil. Just as he poured a drop, a large amount of spirit chi suddenly surged and permeated into the soil. Immediately after, a small bud grew out. After seeing that it was this effective, Chen Xiang continued dripping the dragon saliva on the soil. With each drop, a large amount of spirit chi violently surged deep into the ground, leading into the metal spirit fruit's seed inside. The dragon saliva itself contained an abundant life force, and now, it would allow the small tree to absorb a large amount of spirit chi, which would accelerate its growth. Chen Xiang now understood why Su Meiyao had always repeatedly urged him not to reveal anything about the dragon saliva exercise. Otherwise, it would be very troublesome. It was only now that he deeply felt the formability of this heaven-defying divine exercise. His heart grew more and more excited. Give him some time, and even growing a 10,000-year-old spirit herb would be like taking a walk in the park. After exhausting a bottle of the dragon saliva, the metal spirit fruit seed had grown into a human-sized small tree. This was only in half a day worth of time. Ugh, there's still no fruit. Chen Xiang complained as he was somewhat dissatisfied. Humph. You should be content. If it was under normal circumstances, it would have taken at least 500 years to grow into this size. You will need to collect at least 1 more month worth of dragon saliva to allow this tree to bear fruit. As long as it bore a fruit, Chen Xiang would be able to grow several metal spirit fruit. At that time he would announce this to the entire nation, recruiting alchemists with metal spirit fruit as a reward. With such an easy task, it might even lead to a dogfight between the alchemists. Brat, you should now start collecting herbs for refining a building foundation, Dan. You have yin and yang divine veins and cultivate divine exercises, so entering into the true martial realm is not a problem, but if you want it to be fast and stable, this Dan is a must. By you said. Building foundation Dan, a low-grade profound level Dan, mainly used for a stable foundation and enhancing the body. It also increased the purity of true qi, and if taken before entering the true martial realm, advancing would be much easier. Chen Xiang, while curling his lips, said, I can only refine middle-grade mortal level Dan, but profound level Dan. Yeah. Even when I'm at the peak of mortal martial realm, I'm afraid I still wouldn't have the ability to refine it. Ignorant little devil, as long as you're able to refine a high-grade spirit level Dan, you'll be able to refine the building foundation Dan. Only because the herbs of the building foundation Dan are very rare, it is categorized as a profound level Dan. But the difficulty of refining it isn't all that great. Humph. Bai Yu said coldly. Chen Xiang now had the 1,000-vein fruit and also a 1,000-year beast Dan. With these 3 rare spirit herbs, refining the building foundation Dan was possible. Because he practiced dragon saliva exercise. As long as he had a seed, he could infinitely grow the spirit herbs. At that time, he could have as many building foundation Dan as he wanted. Buying the seeds wouldn't be an issue, since the building foundation Dan could be sold for many spirit coins. Thinking of this point, Chen Xiang was extremely excited. Of course, presently he had to elevate his strength. With stronger strength, came also an increase in the ripening of the dragon saliva. Moreover, refining high-grade dawn required stronger flames. At night, Chen Xiang disguised himself and left King City. He went to a distant mountain forest, with relatively dense true qi, which would allow him to speed up his cultivation. Chen Xiang closed his eyes, and with the help of his yin and yang divine veins, he sensed the rich spirit qi within a radius of tens of li. When he operated the Tai Qi divine exercise, the spirit qi immediately surged into his body. Chen Xiang then refined them into 5-element true qi, compressing and storing them in the 5 locations inside his dantian. Before dawn, Chen Xiang had already woken up. Cultivating in a place with rich spirit qi, not only would it allow him to cultivate more true qi, it would also help him in gathering more dragon saliva. This was also one of the reasons he came to these outskirts. Chen Xiang was as energetic as a dragon and as fierce as a tiger. Suddenly, in the middle of the forest, he started boxing. In this dim forest, crisscrossing green and red light constantly flashed, transforming into tiger heads, striking out at the empty air, while bursting out roars. Each of his fists emitted fierce winds, while the soil on the ground was curled up like the waves of the sea. Intermittent sounds bursted out as his fists struck the trees, while dismembering the trees, which could be encircled by 2 people, in the process. This was the high-grade spirit-level martial skill, Heavenly Tiger Storm Killing Fist. Chen Xiang had the divine exercise of 4 symbols. But presently he could only learn some of the common martial techniques. Although its power was good, it was still insufficient. Only if one was familiar in casting martial techniques would it be useful during a battle. By now, Chen Xiang was able to smoothly perform the Heavenly Tiger Storm Killing Fist. He now felt pleasure in releasing the vigorous true qi from his body, while casting the martial technique. As he struck out, his vigorous true qi transformed into a formidable and ingenious power, which also made him feel more comfortable. Many trees broke as his punches landed on them, one by one, blasting them off from the ground and forming many pits. Chen Xiang sighed as he thought. He was only at the 6th level of the mortal martial realm and had this level of strength. An ordinary person, in his eyes, were already similar to ants, as even for someone at the same level, it would be difficult for them to resist his violent, heavenly tiger storm-killing fist. If I enter into the true martial realm, how powerful will I be? When Chen Xiang thought about this, his mind couldn't help but surge with an inexplicable excitement. He had a very strong desire for more and more power, which boosted his morale. Chapter 36. In front of the Yao family. Chapter 36. In front of the Yao family, Chen Xiang returned just before dawn. During the day, he madly refined dawn, while during night, he went to the outskirts of the city to cultivate. 20 days of this cycle continued. Now, not only had his cultivation enhanced by a lot, he also became very skillful in refining middle-grade mortal level dawn and below, with almost no chance of failure. The time required for the entire alchemy process was also shortened by a large amount. It was to the point that even the old alchemist Chen Luzhong felt completely embarrassed of his own inferiority. 70 to 80% of the money acquired from selling the 1,000-year-old blood spirit GRAS had already been spent. Chen Xiang and Chen Luzhong had refined many commonly used low-grade mortal level dawn, but it was still far from enough. Of course, the metal spirit tree planted by Chen Xiang was also about to bear fruits. In these past 20 days, he had been constantly producing dragon saliva and accelerating its growth. This was the first time he had stimulated the growth of a single type of spirit herb for such a long time, but it would definitely be worth it. The metal spirit tree was his confidential secret, which was why he had planted it in his own private courtyard. Even Chen Luzhong wasn't allowed to casually enter Chen Xiang's small courtyard. As long as we hire enough alchemists, I can be carefree and gain some breathing room. Chen Xiang was stroking a small golden fruit, which was birthed out from the tree this very morning after he nourished it with the dragon saliva. Chen Xiang hadn't ever thought of just refining and selling dawn all day. He aspired to do much grander things, such as finding precious spirit herbs, killing demon beasts, acquiring and practicing suitable martial techniques, or even just to explore this vast world. At this moment, the King City's martial arts tournament was only a month away and Chen Xiang went to sign up for it. However, what made him depressed was the fact that the King City's martial arts tournament was unexpectedly hosted by the Yao family, and due to this, the registration venue was inside the Yao family area. Chen Xiang had been lodging in King City for quite some time now, and had already heard people discussing about the missing Yao Tianhua and the Yao family elder. But fortunately for Chen Xiang, there were a few wicked organizations of formidable martial artists organizations that frequently wrought havoc outside King City. They looted and killed many of King City's children from aristocrat families, so Chen Xiang was never suspected of the deed. That being said, the whole Yao family was furious as their Yao family genius and an elder had gone missing. They denounced those evil forces with the help of the imperial family, along with many other families with whom they had good relations with. In just a few days, many of the evil forces had been punished or completely destroyed, yet despite all this, the Yao family wasn't able to find any clue to the whereabouts of Yao Tianhua. In reality, Yao Tianhua and the Yao family elder had long been killed by Chen Xiang, their bodies incinerated until only ashes remained. The Yao family finding out what happened was the least of Chen Xiang's worries. Currently, Chen Xiang had just arrived at the Yao family residence, which to no surprise, was very large. In his heart, Chen Xiang was slightly in awe from just seeing the entrance, let alone inside. The compet. 1. Tie-in, as well as registrations, was being held in the huge field in front of the Yao family entrance. Although registrations had started early, a vast majority of people were still coming every day to register. The whole field was very lively, many long queues stretched out like a dragon. Chen Xiang had lined up quite a while ago, and now, he finally stood in front of the registration table. The young, 20 or so, man responsible for registrations yawned and picked up his pen and paper. He lazily asked, "Name?" "Chen Xiang." The young man was originally listless, but after hearing these 2 words, he became wide awake while carefully sizing up Chen Xiang. Everyone around them also looked over. Chen Xiang's name was well known to everyone here. Not only was he capable of refining the baptizing Merodan, but his strength was known to be comparable to someone in the 7th level of the mortal marital realm. He had wounded the Yao family elder, beat up the governor's son, and gained the favor of the manor lord of Danxiang Herbal Manor, who was considered the most beautiful woman in the city. These were only some of his more notable deeds. Chen Xiang was also a genius-level figure comparable to Yao Tianhua. As long as one walked around the city before, they would have surely heard of his name. However, the Yao family thought of him as nothing but a thorn in their eyes. Every single Yao family member pretty much hated him. For them, Chen Xiang injuring the Yao family elder and Yao Tianhua was the only reason they had gone missing. If not for the Yao family elder's injuries, there was no way they could possibly have been in any kind of danger. Go over there and take the strength test. Only after pass. Sing the test will you be able to partake. 1P8 in the martial arts tournament. That young man pointed to another row. Before coming here, Chen Xiang had heard that they tested your strength before successful registration. Those who were not able to pass the test would be unable to partake. 1P8. After the young man placed a seal on a paper, Chen Xiang took the paper and headed towards the other row. Chen Xiang was actually this close to them. Just thinking about this, many people were extremely excited. An alchemist, as well as the grandson of the famous Chen family patriarch. He had a limitless future, which made many people take initiative to chat with him. To pass sometime, Chen Xiang was also happy to chat with the other family juniors. While many of the family juniors tried to get on his good side to get the Chen family's support for their families, some feared offending the Yao family and were afraid to form an alliance with the Chen family. However, these family juniors came to learn from Chen Xiang that Chen family also had a dan shop, so they would be less wary of the threat posed by the Yao family. Unknowingly, time passed. Said by quickly, and it was now Chen Xiang's turn. The method to test one's strength was simple, you just had to strike a strange boulder. Originally, this boulder was black, but if one's power was strong enough, they would be able to change its color. Chen Xiang was standing in front of the boulder, which was taller than him. The person in charge of the testing site announced, as long as you are able to turn this boulder's color to yellow, you will pass this test. According to the force exerted, the boulder would change its color from black to red, orange, yellow, green, azure, blue, or purple, with purple being the highest amount of force it could measure. Since standing in line, Chen Xiang had seen many people change the boulder's color to red, sometimes even orange, but no one was still able to change its color to yellow. I heard that during the Crown Prince's test, the stone turned blue. Ah, truly unfathomable strength. Oh, I also heard that one of the Yao family's juniors was very formidable and also turned the stone blue. Ha, just that? The great General Lung's daughter was able to change it to purple. Chen Xiang suddenly heard many people discussing about the strength of some notable figures. At this time, everyone seemed to be watching him with rapt attention, awaiting his results. Everyone wanted to take a look at Chen Xiang and see if his strength was truly as mighty as they heard, or if it was just a baseless rumor. Many of those present had never seen Chen Xiang's strength. Chen Xiang rubbed his fists as he stared at the boulder. The Chen family also had this sort of boulder, albeit a little smaller than this. It was still equally good for determining power. It was very painful to hit it, in fact. Chen Xiang had tried this test a long time ago at home. However, at that time he was barely able to turn the stone's hue into a faint red, denoting his former power to be weak. However, things had changed and now Chen Xiang had reached the 6th level of the mortal martial realm. He was very eager to test out his strength. After some preparation, Chen Xiang slightly inhaled. He operated the vermilion bird and azure dragon true chi within his dantian and integrated them together. As the two true chis fused together and surged into his arms, his sleeves suddenly turned into ash, revealing blue veins on his stout arm. At this time, everyone around the testing site had turned quiet. The people closer to Chen Xiang were even able to sense his frightening amount of true chi. After this sudden show of explosive might, the crowd was in awe. At this moment, an body doubted that Chen Xiang had injured the Yao family elder. The entire crowd was panic-stricken just from the mighty pressure released by Chen Xiang's true chi. In one go, the dual-attributed true chi surged into Chen Xiang's arm. Tightening his fist, he punched out. Violent and fast as lightning, his fist ruthlessly slammed onto the boulder. Bang! That boulder suddenly shattered into many pieces and scattered on the ground. Soot flew everywhere following outburst of true chi. Chapter 37. Generous Remuneration. Chapter 37. Generous Remuneration, edited by Cloud Goat. Everyone stared blankly. Originally they thought that the stone would just turn purple, but now Chen Xiang's fists blasted it into smithereens. Not even the strength measuring stone was able to bear his violent power. Before there were those who turned the strength measuring stone into either blue or purple, and they were already considered leaders of the younger generation. But now Chen Xiang smashed the strength measuring stone, obviously Chen Xiang's strength lad already Serpa. As said those people. Chen Xiang was shocked with his own result, but now since he has broken the strength measuring stone, he feared that the Yao family would ask for compensation. Did I pass? I did not intend to smash it, I just wanted to use the strongest power for the test. I did not expect my luck to be this good, and suddenly smash it. Chen Xiang, scratching his head, grinned. Everyone was looking at him with contempt. SMAs. I plussing the stone with luck. Only an idiot would believe that bulls. I plus T. Pa said. The person in charge thought, if this is not considered a Pa then no one will be able to Pa An additional stamp was added to his sheet, allowing him to partake 1p8 in the King City Martial Art Tournament. Chen Xiang let out a deep breath. Apparently the Yao family was not going to ask compensation for the strength measuring stone. Certainly, this was not Chen Xiang's entire strength, as he was only using fire and wood attribute chi, and the other 3 attribute true chi still haven't been used it. If all 5 attribute true chi has been fused, it would have been even more powerful. He had been practicing for many days just to perfect the fusion between fire and wood attribute chi, complementing one another, and turning into a more powerful true chi. It was also one of the main reasons for Chen Xiang to be a difficult opponent among the same level. Chen Xiang immediately started refining pills just after returning from the registration. Even at this age, the pills refined by him were better than many of old alchemists. This is what Chen Luzhong said. In the past few days he had learnt a lot of alchemy skills and experiences from Su Meiyao and shared them with Chen Luzhong. Chen Luzhong had also benefited a lot from them, but Chen Luzhong thought that they were Chen Xiang's own perception, so he admired his nephew more and more. 10 days said quickly, in the small courtyard of his 6 fist-sized golden fruit were Hi plus Ning. As the sunlight shone on them, a very attractive golden glow was glittering. Near them one could feel the intense spirit chi emitted by the metal spirit fruit. This is a profound level high-grade spirit fruit. I wonder what its taste like. Chen Xiang forcefully swallowed his own saliva. If those old alchemists came to know about his idea, he would be immediately beaten to pulp. Eating a metal spirit fruit was simply throwing it away. Chen Xiang cautiously picked up 6s. Hi plus Ning golden metal spirit fruit, and after placing them inside his storage pouch, left the store in a hurry and arrived at a place nearby Danxiang Herbal Manor, which was completely focused on seeking alchemists to help in alchemy. He had already prepared a notice to affix Chen Family Dan King Hall, recruiting 3 alchemists capable of refining mortal-level high-grade pills, remuneration metal spirit fruit. Above he also wrote his name and address. Although he had 6 metal spirit fruit, he was going to leave some for his own use. After all, this metal spirit fruit is also very useful in refining building foundation Dan. Chen Xiang returned to store and patiently waited. He knew many alchemists will soon be attracted by the reward and come here. After all, a metal spirit fruit is a priceless profound level high-grade spirit fruit. Every alchemist desired them. Soon he will be able to attract many alchemists. Chen Xiang did not have to wait for long. Someone immediately came and asked for him. To his surprise, it was not an alchemist but someone he is already acquainted with, Danxiang Herbal Manor Lord Huaiyueyun. Chen Luzhong was also quite confused. He did not know anything about Chen Xiang using metal spirit fruit for hiring alchemists, otherwise he would already been jumping around. Huaiyueyun got down from the horse carriage and directly rushed into the store. At this moment she did not conceal her face with a veil, seemingly elegant and blee in her snow-white dress. Chen Xiang immediately asked after noticing the resentment on her beautiful and elegant face. Manor Lord Hua, what happened? Humph! With a low snort, Huaiyueyun asked with a serious face. Did you really use metal spirit fruit as remuneration for recruiting alchemists? Chen Luzhong surprised for a moment, then quickly took a glance at Chen Xiang. What's the problem? Is it not allowed? Watching Chen Xiang nodding his head and spreading his hands as he spoke, Chen Luzhong was stunned and uttered a shriek. Immediately after he shouted, "You brat, you actually have metal spirit fruit, and you're using it for remunerating alchemists, are you crazy? One can only come across metal spirit fruit serendipitously, they are very rare. Ordinarily people who have metal spirit fruit will only use it for themselves, while just selling its peel and the seed." Cough cough. Chen Xiang placed 2 Hi plus Ning golden fruit on the table. Suddenly bizarre spirit chi drifts out from them, which even made Chen Luzhong and Huaiyueyun scared. They didn't expect for Chen Xiang to have 2 of them. You, Chen Luzhong was left speechless. Huaiyueyun took a deep breath. After all, she was from a big sect, and already had seen the world. But it was still inconceivable for her to see Chen Xiang at such a young age, to actually have such a treasure. Thousand vein fruit Hel spirit grs thousand-year beast Dan, and now metal spirit fruit, all of them were very precious and acquired by him. At this moment, Chen Xiang came up with 1 more metal spirit fruit. Both of them shuddered once again. Chen Xiang just chuckled and said, "Granduncle, I know you like to remain hidden, thus I give these 3 metal spirit fruit to you for safekeeping. 1 is for your own use, while the other 2 for remuneration for recruiting alchemists. At the time when these alchemists come, they will all be reviewed by you." Huaiyueyun, looking at the 3 Hi plus Ning golden fruits on the table, nibbled her tender lips, an indescribable complexion visible on her face. In her opinion, Chen Xiang was a rare seedling of alchemy, and truly had a great chance in advancing to the true martial realm, but she just wasn't able to entice Chen Xiang in joining Danxiang Taoyuan. Chen Luzhong's hands were trembling as he carefully received the metal spirit fruits. After forcefully restraining his excited heart, said, "You brat, where did you get them?" Chen Xiang randomly said, "Last night, while practicing in mountains, I came across a hidden place. The whole tree I moved it back. Metal spirit tree normally will bear 5 fruits, it seems you are now quite rich." Huaiyueyun's pair of enchanting myriads eyes gently winked at Chen Xiang, indescribably charming. Chen Xiang tilted his head, avoiding her charming gaze, asked, "Manor Lord Hua, what did you come here for?" "Humph! I wanted to see whether you truly had metal spirit fruit? But this approach of yours is too high profile, it will be very troublesome. Previously the Yao family didn't pay an ounce of attention to your Chen family Dan King Hall, but as of now they will not allow you to open your shop smoothly as you are now using metal spirit fruit to draw in alchemists. Who dares to stop us? I'll kill them." Chen Luzhong roared out in a majestic voice. He just received a metal spirit fruit. Given some time, he will be able to refine it into a pill, and thus breaking through his current bottleneck will be easy as pie. Chapter 38. Dan King. Chapter 38. Dan King, edited by Cloud Goat. Young Master Chen, you must reconsider my previous invitation. That is but one good opportunity, and you must carefully reconsider. A sliver of pleading intention was present in Hua Yueyun's clear and pretty eyes. Hua Yueyun departed. Chen Luzhong gave a bizarre look to Chen Xiang, then asked in a low voice, "Brat, that woman is also the Danxiang Manor Hall's manager, but in front of you she didn't have an ounce of arrogance. Where did she invite you?" "Tielin, I will be using manager instead of hall lord. She invited me to enter Danxiang Taoyuan, but as I am more interested in entering the extreme martial sect, so I declined." "What?" Chen Luzhong stared blankly for a moment, immediately after knocked on Chen Xiang's head. "Danxiang Taoyuan is holy land for all alchemists, and you brat actually declined." Chen Xiang caressed his head, curling his mouth, said, "Granduncle, this woman is just a maidservant. She had fooled many other people in joining Danxiang Taoyuan, and I will not do such stupid things. Enrolling into a sect is a very important matter, and I want to enroll in a sect which I admire. Once one becomes a sect's disciple, it would be very hard to leave, unless banished by the sect itself, and once banished no other sect will take them in, so Chen Xiang wanted to carefully consider the sect he choose. Chen Xiang had Su Meiyao to teach him alchemy. There was also the dragon saliva exercise for maturing spirit herbs. He simply did not have any desire to enter Danxiang Taoyuan, thus he wanted to enter extreme martial sect, which has a very strong heritage. Not long before two alchemists showed up at the door, Chen Luzhong was mainly responsible for screening. Primarily alchemists first wanted to take a glance at the metal spirit fruit, so Chen Luzhong proudly took out the metal spirit fruit before them. Watching these alchemists looking at it with envy made Chen Luzhong very happy in his heart. Chen Luzhong first let them refine pills on their own, afterwards he made them refine mortal-level middle-grade pill. By observing the pill quality and time of the alchemy process, he identifies the level of these alchemists. What made Chen Luzhong depressed was that, in just one day, although there were tens of people applying, but only 2 or 3 could be regarded as alchemists. Moreover, many even failed to meet the standards. There were even some guys who intended to fish in troubled waters. TLN. Chinese idiom, equals fish in troubled waters, meaning, trying to make profit in a dangerous situation. Chen Xiang was not anxious, as many alchemists often secluded themselves for alchemy, and thus yet have to receive the information. So he speculated in the next few days, there will be many alchemists affiliated to several forces of King City applying. Chen Xiang only planned on recruiting 4 good alchemists. 2 metal spirit fruit is more than enough to make 4 alchemists stay here for some time, and by that time Dan King Hall will be strong and prosperous, and will not be afraid of being unable to recruit any alchemists. Like previously, Chen Xiang returned to his original routine, going to the outskirts to practice at night and returning early for refining pills at Dan King Hall. 3 days went by since posting the notice. Chen Xiang returned from the mountains outside the city, saw early in the morning some gray-white-haired old men standing around Dan King Hall entrance. At this time the sky had just lit up. Dan King Hall has yet to open, so these candidates for the alchemist position can only patiently wait. On ordinary days these alchemists were always aloof. They will not bat an eye even if many spirit coins were placed in front of them, but they regard these rare and precious spirit herbs as a treasure, as no amount of spirit coins can buy them. Chen Xiang was the one who came up with the name of the store Dan King Hall. As long they had a sufficient amount of pills they will be able to open. Because Chen Luzhong had enough qualification to be called an old alchemist, the other alchemists were more than happy to join to Dan King Hall. As the doors opened, Tens of alchemists one after another hastily greeted Chen Luzhong. From the small amount of heat in the breath of these alchemists, Chen Xiang roughly estimated their levels in alchemy. Except for two, others' true qi were not pure enough and were only able to refine low-grade dan. Many of these half-baked alchemists were only here to try their luck, as they all knew the qualification required would certainly be high. After they entered Dan King Hall, Chen Xiang also tagged along with them. At this point, one blond wrinkled old man walked in. He shouted as soon as he entered, "Steward, get the F.U.C.K. out!" When the old man yelled, pure fire chi burst out from his body, shocking the tens of alchemists. Because each one of them desired for this level of fire chi, they were very confident that this blond old man was definitely an alchemist, also a very famous one at that, but alchemists rarely make an appearance, thus they were widely known only by their name. Chen Xiang stood out and responded, "I am the steward here, what do you want with me?" Everyone knew Dan King Hall was the Chen family property, and the person in charge was Chen Xiang. The blond old man spotted Chen Xiang. On his face suddenly revealed a look of contempt. His whole face full of arrogance, said, "I want you to immediately change the name of your store. You are not allowed to use the name Dan King Hall, because you do not deserve it." Chen slightly squinted his eyes. "Why? I chose this name, and in any way is not hampering you. If you are here to cause trouble, then do not blame me for being impolite." That blond old man contemptuously looked at Chen Xiang and sneered. "This old man is Dan King, so I will not allow you to use this brother's name for your store." Tielin, well, basically he used "go brother." Sometimes refer themselves as good to show their superiority. Dan King? After they heard these two words, Chen Luzhong and those alchemist candidates were immediately shocked. In the whole southern martial empire, high and low, there were tens of millions of people, only had one alchemist with a very brilliant alchemy technique, called Dan King. Moreover, he had dealings with the Yao family. At this point everyone were able to determine, this proud old man is the southern martial empire's Dan King Meng Bo. Chen Xiang was no stranger to this name. Since childhood he had often heard this name, and now unexpectedly able to see this person, he quickly determined that the Dan King is certainly sent by the Yao family to make trouble. Chen Xiang frowned. This was indeed somewhat troublesome. He named Dan King Hall because he wanted the store name to be somewhat domineering. He really did not expect the actual Dan King would walk in to smash the signboard. Humph, relying on this guy, dare to claim Dan King? I have been doing alchemy for thousands of years, and just barely able to achieve Dan Founder rank, let alone Dan King, which is even superior to Dan Founder. Su Meiyao's contemptuous voice sounded in Chen Xiang's mind. Chen Xiang was slightly surprised in his heart. At this time he came to know that originally that name was designated for an alchemist's level. His eyes lit up. Ridiculing Meng Bo said, "Humph, you dare claim to be a Dan King? Do you have the ability to go to those big sects and show off? You think others will not scold you, this not knowing of immensity of heaven and earth old man." Speaking of big sects, other alchemists were also longing to know about how formidable the alchemists inside those big sections. In front of those alchemists, Meng Bo obviously did not dare to claim to be a Dan King. He can only show off as such in this mortal world country. Meng Bo's face turned red with anger. He had not thought Chen Xiang the little devil would dare to humiliate him, moreover in front of others. But what he said he also could not refute. He knew he cannot compare to those alchemists in big sects, and if he went there he can only be one little messenger. Chen Xiang saw Meng Bo's old face turn red with anger, said, "Since you think your own alchemy technique is brilliant, then how about a little compet? 1. Tie-in with this brat, and these alchemists can be the judge. Since this is a compet. 1. Tie-in, of course we should add a prize. If I lose, I'll give you the metal spirit fruit, and if you lose?" Chapter 39, Respect. Chapter 39, Respect, edited by Cloud Goat Chen Xiang and the Southern Martial Empire's Dan King were going to compete in alchemy. Tens of alchemists were surprised so much that their jaws were touching the ground. Chen Luzhong knew Chen Xiang's talent was very high regarding alchemy, but to challenge a Dan King, he was still too tender. However, the reward offered by Chen Xiang was too enticing. In the mortal world, the spirit qi was relatively thin, resulting in spirit herbs to be very rare. So alchemists in the mortal world cannot resist the temptation of such a rare and precious spirit herb. Meng Bo looked upward and burst into laughter. Ha ha ha! Such being the case, this old man will accompany you. If I lose, I'll give you my profound yang alchemic furnace. Profound yang alchemic furnace. That is but one famous furnace. It is said to be made up of precious profound yang stone. It was said there was a mystical force inside the furnace, which is also the reason for Meng Bo to have such great achievements in alchemy. These alchemists' gazes were full of envy as Meng Bo took out a fiery red alchemic furnace. This alchemic furnace was small and exquisite, seemingly like a carved-out red gem. There were many fine patterns on the outside, and one could tell it was by no means refined out by someone from mortal world. If we are competing in Dan rank, then I will absolutely lose. To be fair, the most I can refine is a high-grade pill, or a Qi Dan. This was the only way he had any chance of winning. At present he was only able to refine high-grade pills. Aura Qi Dan provided a great help to 6th level of Mortal Martial Realm Prac. 1. Tionir, as 7th level of Mortal Martial Realm, was True Aura Realm, and at this state one is able to transform True Qi into Aura. After taking Aura Qi Dan, it helps 6th level of Mortal Martial Realm martial artists in familiarizing with Aura Qi. 7th realm of Mortal Martial Realm martial artists took in energy to strengthen their True Qi, making it much quicker and easier to transform True Qi into Aura, and also strengthen it quickly. No problem, begin now? Meng Bo readily agreed down, in his eyes, regardless of how high Chen Xiang's alchemic talent was. After all, he is only a little devil. It was absolutely impossible for him to win. If his refined pill quality was not good as Chen Xiang, then he will also sincerely convinced about his defeat. Start now. Each one is responsible for their own herbs. If you do not have it, then I will wait for you to get some so that you will not fall behind. Chen Xiang said, for more than 1 month, he had been constantly learning to refine other pills. He had also refined the Aura Qi Dan several times. Apart from that, after some failures in the beginning, he understood the essentials like the back of his hand, and has yet to fail again. Of course I have the herbs, so let's begin. There are so many alchemists to judge. I think the final result certainly would be very notary. Meng Bo said, at present he is unexpectedly excited. He had been very jealous of Chen Xiang for owning the metal spirit fruit, because he owed the Yao family a favor, so he agreed to come here and break the event. To Meng Bo's surprise, Chen Xiang was one young aggressive brat. He even proposed a compet. 1. Tie-in with such a large disparity in their strength, and he certainly is not going to miss this opportunity. Chen Luzhong and the other alchemists were also very thrilled, because they can personally see how the famous Dan King refined pill, which is but one rare opportunity. Most pill refining methods were similar, but the process of dealing herbs were nothing but different. Moreover, some herbs' nature were very special. When dealing with these kinds of herbs, one has to be very cautious, otherwise it would be a failure, and worst-case scenario the furnace would explode. Moreover, herbs would be lost. For low-grade pills it was okay, but failure during high-grade pills, many alchemists were distressed about it for a long time. At this point Chen Xiang and Meng Bo simultaneously poured flames into their respective alchemic furnace, producing fire qi inside the furnace, while simultaneously controlling the inside temperature, only then placed the herbs inside. Herbs required for the Aura Qi Dan, although somewhat expensive, but it was still profitable to sell in the market. The primary herbs were Yuan Spirit Mud, Earth Aura Gra, S Root, Profound Spirit Ginseng, Hel Fire Gra, S Then there were some auxiliary herbs, mainly more than 50-year-old ginseng, spirit GRA. Showu, earth spirit GRA. And other common spirit herbs. This aura chi dan difficulty lied in processing the yuan spirit mud and earth aura GRA. Root, yuan spirit mud was a sludge containing spirit chi, and only found in special places. This mud was also capable of self-absorbing the spirit chi, and afterwards refining the spirit chi. This spirit chi was relatively similar to near-immortal type aura. It was also quite difficult to bake the yuan spirit mud into herbal powder and herbal chi, as the magnitude of required flames was extremely high. Earth aura GRA. Root is a type of spirit herb grown inside yuan spirit mud, and the GRA. Roots were present deep inside the yuan spirit mud. After breeding, it produces earth aura, as this GRA. Root was very easily burned to nothing, and that peculiar aura chi was also very easy to evaporate. Thus it was necessary to use divine sense to control the flames and protect them simultaneously. Chen Xiang in the beginning failed many times because of these two difficulties, but afterwards, as he grasped the subtle essentials, he was able to easily refine aura chi dan. At this point Chen Xiang's face was quite relaxed while baking the herbs into herbal powder and herbal spirit chi. Only by thorough refining can it actually drive out all the impurities, otherwise it would affect the pill quality. For this requirement Chen Xiang was very strict on himself, so the pills he refines all turned out to be of superior quality. Every time there were subtle changes in the temperature all around, Chen Luzhong and those alchemists were able to sense it. From time to time black qi also emerged from the alchemic furnace as the herb's impurities were released, making everyone all feel speechless with admiration, and even Meng Bo was sweating, and his eyebrows were knitted together. In contrast Chen Xiang had a somewhat relaxed look. Obviously, Meng Bo had not refined the aura chi dan for quite some time. As long as one was out of practice for some time, they would forget the feeling of subtle type of fire control, and will be difficult to grasp the degree of heat required for each spirit herb. Suddenly, that ruby-like alchemic furnace of Meng Bo's slightly shook. 5 or 6 different color spirit chi were rising from it. Meng Bo even made a mistake. One Dan King actually failed during the refining of mortal-level middle-grade pill. All alchemists present felt very disappointed, and some even secretly despised this Dan King. Granduncle, give him a set of aura chi dan herbs, he will refine anew, he still has time to catch up? Chen Xiang opened his eyes and lightly said. Meng Bo was suddenly stunned. Suddenly a hint of shame flashed through his eyes, only to see Chen Xiang smilingly said, during alchemy because herbs were insufficient, resulting in failure to A lies the deviations. This compet. 1. Tian has to be fair as you lacked preparation. Meng Bo slightly nodded his head. He knew Chen Xiang was slightly stepping down for him. After all, he is a famous alchemist. This error may very well result in tarnish. Plusing his reputation, and he may even not be able to show his face in public, so he was secretly grateful in his heart. At this point he understood Chen Xiang was not supercilious like the rumors had depicted. Whether it was people's skills or subtlety, he was far better than Yao Tianhua, whom he guided several times. Chen Luzhong soon brought the herbs. Meng Bo started refining again, but this time he had calmed down, and no longer underestimated Chen Xiang. He actually treated Chen Xiang as an opponent of similar skills. A little time passed, though it had been very quiet. Chen Luzhong and the alchemists present knew that within these two alchemic furnace, very complicated process were undergoing. Half an hour passed. Finally it was time to condensate the pill. Chen Xiang was leading, only to see Chen Xiang come up with some sort of green liquid, and dripped it into one of alchemic furnace openings. This liquid was the dragon saliva diluted with water. If added during the time of condensing pills, it helps in improving the quality of the pill. Su Meiyao was the one who told him. Chen Xiang opened his eyes, and slightly implored some qi, and at this time Meng Bo wiped his forehead. he was also done. Chapter 40. Fire Dragon Blood Jade. Chapter 40. Fire Dragon Blood Jade, edited by Cloud Goat. Meng Bo originally came to find fault, but now he was ashamed in his heart. He was grateful about Chen Xiang's previous conduct, thus he decided even if he won, he would not accept the metal spirit fruit. In an ordinary situation, 3 Orochi Dan can be refined at once, and for formidable alchemists they can refine 4 pills at once. After Meng Bo opened the lid of Profound Yang alchemic furnace, one could see 4 transparent pills with a trace of light yellow color gradually levitating. 4 Orochi Dan, worthy of Dan King. Nearby one alchemist could not help but praise. From the looks of the color and herbal fragrance, the pill quality should be excellent. At this time, it was Chen Xiang's turn, and after Chen Xiang opened his alchemic furnace, he gently blew, as the mist blew away. This time everyone were shocked, astonishment clearly visible on their face. 5 exquisitely carved, flawless pills were visible inside the furnace, but also there was a trace of white glossiness. There was no visible impurities in the Orochi Dan. As the herbal aroma entered into their nose, no one could believe it. Not only 5 pills, but also of excellent quality. This level is far more than that of Meng Bo. Meng Bo heaved a sigh when he saw Chen Xiang. His eyes were full of respect. Before, he thought Chen Xiang was the same as Yao Tianhua, although somewhat talented, but still proud and arrogant. But now he saw that Chen Xiang refined Orochi Dan quality was far more superior to his, and could not help but be sincerely convinced. I lost. Meng Bo sighed and said, he was no longer a Dan King full of arrogance, and now he looked much older. After all, this was for him a big blow. Meng Lao, I think you usually don't refine Orochi Dan. You can still refine the pill with such quality in an unfamiliar situation. As a junior I'm impressed. So be it, we consider it a tie. I did not win, and you did not lose. Chen Xiang showed a gentle smile. Meng Bo in the entire southern martial empire was the most powerful alchemist. It was better to be friends with him. TLN. Lao means old. It is used when speak to someone who are close to them and much older than them. Meng Bo shook his head, and then took out the red S.H.I. plus Ning Profound Yang alchemic furnace and handed it to Chen Xiang. A lost is lost. This alchemic furnace is yours. For many years I have been relying on this alchemic furnace, and had neglected some basic things. It should have a better master than me. Meng Bo's and Chen Xiang's actions made those alchemists present filled with admiration. This made them have a new understanding of them. Chen Xiang spread his hand. Meng Lao, you should join our Dan King Gall, become the chief alchemist of the store? The Profound Yang furnace is yours, while you still can obtain the metal spirit fruit. Everyone was surprised. Chen Xiang actually wanted to reel in Meng Bo to Dan King Hall. Chen Luzhong's eyes lit up, smiled apologetically and quickly said, this Dan King Hall needs Meng Lao to take charge, then only it can be undoubtedly Dan King Hall. Meng Bo pondered for a moment, said, good, but this alchemic furnace you must accept. You have very solid basics. With the help of this furnace, you will get twice the result with half the effort. Surprisingly Meng Bo complied, but the alchemists present were very unhappy with the presence of one such powerful Dan King. Now they would not be able to fish in troubled waters after entering Dan King Hall. At this time, one old man said, Manger Chen, this old man does not seek to be alchemist here, only hopes to be a janitor. You also do not need to pay. Seeing the old man, others followed the suit, having expressed their willingness to stay here without a pay, because they can together learn a lot of things from Dan King. Well, Meng Lao, you take responsibility. Chen Xiang scratched his head and laughed. Meng Bo frowned while looking at the dozens of old men, then nodded his head. You can stay behind. Next, Chen Luzhong and Meng Bo picked 2 good alchemists from the tens of old men, and gave them the metal spirit fruit as remuneration. After Meng Bo joined, Chen Xiang felt relieved. At least now he does not need to refine pills by himself, which was very tedious for him. Granduncle, you should be the manager. You have been managing Spirit Dan Hall for many years, and is quite experienced regarding this, while Meng Lao and other seniors are simply responsible for alchemy. Although Meng Bo is a Dan King, but perennial goes in seclusion for alchemy, so regarding management had no experience. Meng Bo and the others also had no clue. Chun Luzhong also nodded. Now inside Dan King Hall there were 4 relatively good alchemists and a dozen or so ordinary level alchemists. In comparison to the Yao family and Danxiang Herbal Manor, they had many alchemists compared to other forces. At night, Chun Xiang and a group of white S.H.I. plus Ning-haired old men were sitting together, discussing alchemy techniques. Chun Xiang was taught by Su Meiyao. That alchemy technique was very brilliant, combined with his own experience, gave some pointers. Making the congregation of alchemists benefit greatly, everyone admired Chun Xiang. At such a young age, he had comprehended such things which made them exclaim in surprise. Chun Xiang, about this morning affront, please forgive me. The Yao family once gave me some herbs, therefore I owe them a favor, but from now on between me and them it's written off. Meng Bo's face looked ashamed. Chun Xiang smiles, said, The past is the past, the Yao family's hate for me is deeply rooted, after all I made them lose face. He got 1 good alchemic furnace and 1 excellent alchemist now, and this is all thanks to the Yao family. He was secretly grateful to the Yao family in his heart. Then we have to work hard, because the King City Martial Art Tournament is about to begin. I have to prepare myself, I have to be first and get that true elemental Dan. Chun Xiang's eyes glittered with a confident aura. This time everyone once again got startled. Because they admired Chun Xiang for his alchemy talent, they completely forgot about his strength. Now that they thought about it, Chun Xiang was also one of the strongest martial artists among younger generation. Chun Xiang with his strength remained unscathed against that 7th level of mortal martial realm Yao family elder, and even defeated him. This type of talent was simply monstrous. I will go out and practice, everybody rest early. Chun Xiang dropped this sentence and walked away. Inside the forest at the outskirts of King City, Chun Xiang, looking at the profound yang alchemic furnace glittering with a fiery red aura, was somewhat excited in his heart. When he touched the furnace, he knew the furnace was extraordinary. Su Meiyao and Bai Yuyu, the 2 peerless beauty, also came out of the ring, looking at the profound yang furnace won by Chun Xiang. Fire Dragon Blood Jade. Bai Yuyu could not help but retreat a few steps. On ordinary days this elegant beauty was always cold, but now actually feared this profound yang furnace. Su Meiyao's eyes were S.H.I. plus Ning while looking at the alchemic furnace, then bent down, and with her delicate hands caressed it gently, as similar to as caressing a baby. Bai Yuyu slowly came over, stubbornly staring at profound yang furnace on the ground. Her tender body wrapped in purple dress was actually slightly trembling. It looked as if she was facing an enemy. Yes, indeed it is the Fire Dragon Blood Jade. I did not think that you, brat, will get such an extreme treasure. If that half-baked Dan King came to know, he will probably die with grief. Su Meiyao smiled, and her face was full of joy. It was truly enchanting and moving, making people as such they could not wait to take her in her arms with love and affection. Chun Xiang hastily put away the furnace, although he did not know what the Fire Dragon Blood Jade, but he can see that Bai Yuyu was very afraid of this alchemic furnace. With some guilt, he said, Yuyu sister, I'm sorry, I didn't knew you were afraid of this thing. Bai Yuyu complexion eased a lot, whispered, It's okay, it's not your fault. Her voice was actually so gentle and enchanting, Chun Xiang could not help but be surprised for a moment. An unspeakable tenderness suddenly surged in his heart, and he felt an inexplicable comfort. Bai Yuyu saw Chun Xiang's complexion somewhat strange, coldly said, I practice devil exercises and my extreme yin body conflicts with this extreme yang Fire Dragon Blood Jade. Chapter 41. Flame Dragon Brilliant Furnace. Chapter 41. Flame Dragon Brilliant Furnace, edited by Cloud Goat. Fire Dragon Blood? Chun Xiang was startled. The profound yang alchemic furnace was not built from profound yang stone, but fire dragon blood jade? As the name suggested, the fire dragon blood jade was a jade holding a fire dragon's blood. Dragons, according to legends, are ancient divine beasts capable of dominating heaven and earth, never been seen by anyone. Fire dragon blood jade, made after soaking jade into fire dragon's blood, not only is it indestructible, but also emits a strange fire chi, which has a great advantage on pills. This alchemic furnace is a sacred level dragon weapon. After speaking, Su Meiyao's beautiful cheeks became a little rosy, appearing to be extremely excited. Even this ice-cold beauty by Yu, ordinarily her face was similar to snow, but now excitement could be seen on her face. Chen Xiang knew this alchemic furnace was formidable, but he was still confused. He muttered, "How formidable?" Su Meiyao tenderly spat, then charmingly said, "Silly boy, you just made a big profit in this mortal world. Various magic weapon can be divided into ordinary weapon, spirit weapon, precious weapon, then above, after transferring to heavens above, refined by immortals immortal weapon and sacred weapon, while sacred level dragon weapon is made by adding dragon body parts during the time of refining. Among sacred weapons it is the most formidable." Chen Xiang's mouth slightly twitched. For him it was somewhat unbelievable. This alchemic furnace is from the heavens. That is natural. If a dragon appeared in this mortal world, then the whole mortal world will collapse and destruct, as it cannot afford the power released by the dragon. Bai Yu said, "Really a dragon?" Chen Xiang swallowed his saliva. Su Meiyao's jade-like fingers teased the black hairs on his forehead, slowly said, "Of course, if you have the opportunity to leave this mortal martial world and go to those high-rank worlds, you will know your own insignificance. I will go in. I really cannot stand this fire dragon blood jade. Junior sister, you instruct him how to receive that sacred level dragon weapon." Finished speaking, Bai Yu disappeared. She entered inside the ring. This time Su Meiyao was in a good mood, her face wearing a shallow smile, looking very attractive and charming. "Take out that alchemic furnace and bleed on it." After Chen Xiang took out the profound yang furnace, with a small blade cut his finger. As the blood dripped on the furnace and touched the smooth and bright red alchemic furnace, a red light suddenly flashed. At this time myriads of information surging into his mind, Chen Xiang got excited and immediately stood up. This alchemic furnace is called Flame Dragon Brilliant Furnace, refined by someone called Yan Longzi. Chen Xiang excitedly said, "This furnace allows the alchemist to have better control over the temperature inside, moreover it can strengthen the flames. The flames inside, under the effect of Flame Dragon Blood Jade, are transformed into a kind flame which is helpful in alchemy, making it much more convenient to refine pills." After speaking, Chen Xiang was much more excited. He said, "The most powerful point, not only does this alchemic furnace reduce the time of alchemy, but there is also an array law yin and yang against chaos, which can allow to speed up the paas, sage of time inside." After hearing, Su Meiyao's graceful curvy tender body could not help but slightly tremble. She looked up at the round moon, muttered, "I and senior sister will not have to wait long for our strength to restore." In the end, who is this Yan Longzi? The person refining this thing should be rather famous, but I've not heard of him. Su Meiyao pursed her lips, apparently thinking of something. Chen Xiang laughingly said, "Meiyao sister, of course you have not heard of him. This man is but from heaven. Ordinarily it would take me an hour and a half to refine baptizing Merodan, but now I think I would be done in half an hour. Even half an hour is too much." Chen Xiang holding the flame dragon brilliant furnace, his face full of looking forward to expression. Su Meiyao's charming eyes like silk looked at Chen Xiang, face with a shallow smile. It's enchanting and moving. Chen Xiang, slightly absent-minded, coughed twice, said, "I would be able to help the two sisters in restoring their strengths early. This little brother is also very happy. I will also try hard." Su Meiyao came near, with her soft tender hand stroked Chen Xiang's handsome cheeks, while wafting orchid-like aroma. casting a coquettish glance, prettily said, "You're a darling, sister now likes you a bit." Listening to that numbing soft voice, feeling the stroking of that tender jade-like hands, Chun Xiang swallowed his saliva, gave a hollow laugh and said, "Mei Yao sister, I want to start practicing. Currently I cannot utilize this alchemic furnace's power, I have to become stronger." Su Mei Yao smiled and nodded her head, then kissed Chun Xiang's cheek, immediately afterwards entered into the ring, only to leave Chun Xiang in a daze. After a while, Chun Xiang's hand touched his cheek, his heartbeat accelerated. He did not expect this peerless beauty Su Mei Yao would kiss him. He had never fantasized about them, as he knew both Su Mei Yao and Bai Yu are not only absolutely beautiful, but also very powerful, so he has never fantasized, but now it seems a little may come true. Truly is a Yao Jing, making my mind restless. Chun Xiang swore in his heart, but this time he was very happy. He can be intimate with such a woman, really is worthy to be happy about. Originally Chun Xiang planned to exercise at night, but now he was refining pills, having such a sacred level dragon weapon alchemic furnace. He certainly wanted to try it immediately. Chun Xiang carried a lot of herbs. This time he was refining baptizing marrow dawn. When he placed the herbs inside the alchemic furnace, the inside of the alchemic furnace clearly appeared in his mind, even some tiny traces upon herbs were crystal clear. At this time, Chun Xiang just infused flames into the alchemic furnace, then arbitrarily controlled the flame's temperature. Even the divine sense consumption was very little. He could even leave a trace of his divine sense to look over the alchemic furnace, and practice at the same time. At this time Chun Xiang knew that he obtained a great alchemic furnace. During alchemy he can get twice result with only half of the effort. Of course, he has solid basics, therefore using this sacred level dragon weapon alchemic furnace to refine pills was simply effortless. Half an hour said, while Chun Xiang had already refined baptizing marrow dan twice, and 4 pills each time. He was usually able to refine 3 pills, but with the help of Flame Dragon Alchemic Furnace, he can utilize all the herbs, and under the bizarre time acceleration, save more time, several times faster than usual. Just to stimulate the profound law inside Alchemic Furnace, it had absorbed a large amount of his true qi. Brother, now you should start refining Aura Qi Dan. It will allow you to enter 7th level of mortal martial realm true Aura realm. You should know ordinary people are not like you, that is to be able to take such a large amount of Aura Qi Dan. Su Mei Yao transmits in a cutesy voice. In many alchemists' eyes Aura Qi Dan is quite difficult to refine, moreover it is a mortal level middle grade pill, therefore many alchemists does not want to refine, but Chun Xiang is nothing but fearless, because he now has the Flame Dragon Brilliant Furnace. Chapter 42, Advance into Level 7. Chapter 42, Advance into Level 7. Chun Xiang continued to practice at night. He took out 4 baptizing marrow dawn and swallowed them in one breath while simultaneously operating the Tai Chi divine exercise to digest their potency. At the break of dawn, he left for the Danxiang herbal manor to buy another 20 sets of Aura Qi Dan's herbs. Chun Xiang had basically used up all his spirit coins after buying the spirit herbs. He had already previously invested most of his spirit coins into the store, so he was short on spirit coins. But as soon as Dan King Hall started doing business, he would earn all his spendings along with a hefty profit. During the day, Chun Xiang stayed in his room and refined Aura Qi Dan. For him, refining has just been too easy now. Moreover, each time 6 dawn were being refined out, in just half an hour, he had refined 2 sets of herbs. In 5 hours, he had already finished refining all 20 sets of herbs he had previously bought, a grand total of 120 dawn. Even just selling them at the minimum market price of 5,000 large spirit coins would earn him 600,000 large spirit coins. On the other hand, he spent only 100,000 large spirit coins to purchase those herbs. Even a fool could see how profitable refining dawn was. Meng Bo didn't know about the furnace, and its ability to recognize a master after bleeding on it, so he wasn't able to utilize the true power of the brilliant flame dragon furnace. If he had known about this, Chen Xiang wouldn't even be able to have a look at it. Thinking about this, he felt slightly guilty, therefore he quietly gave a metal spirit fruit and a small chunk of H.E.L. Spirit GRAS to Mengbo. Only after this did Chen Xiang feel less guilty. At night, Chen Xiang took some of the aura qi dawn he had previously refined and left for forest near the outskirts of the city. In the forest, he swallowed as many as 10 dawn in one deep breath, as if he was eating peanut. If other people came to know about this, their jaws would be wide open until it was almost about to be dislocated from shock. Chen Xiang operated the Tai Chi divine exercise and started refining their potencies. Gradually a strange spirit qi gushed out from the dawn. At some point, he felt the trace of aura qi being released from the aura qi dawn. Every night Chen Xiang would unceasingly eat 10 dawn and cultivate his true qi, while during the day practice the Azure Dragon and Vermilion Bird divine exercise from the divine exercise of the 4 symbols. As for White Tiger divine exercise, a special environment with dense slaughter qi was required to practice it, while the Black Tortoise divine exercise required an area full of water. Moreover, both of them required his strength to be above 9th level of the mortal martial realm at least, so he kept them at the back of his mind. In blink of an eye, only 3 days were left before the King's City Martial Art Tournament started. The moonlight was H.I. plus Ning and countless stars were twinkling in the sky at night. Meanwhile, Chen Xiang was busy absorbing large amount of spirit qi inside the forest as always. He also ate a few aura qi dawn. He had already consumed a large amount of dawn these few days. This also made up for the insufficient spirit qi present in the atmosphere. A layer of white fog started swirling around Chen Xiang's body, emitting a strange kind of energy. Any leaves around him instantly transformed into tiny particles if they even grazed this white fog. This white fog was none other than aura qi. Only now had Chen Xiang grasped the essentials to transform his true qi into aura, but in turn he had to spend a large amount of true qi. Only someone with vigorous true qi would be able to continuously attack with true aura. Early in the morning inside the forest, a bare-chested robust teenager blasted a boulder into pieces with just his fists. Wind whirred around his fists, waves of qi was bursting out from him. Any boulder they touched ceased to exist. Pung pung pung, S-T-U-R. dy stone wrapped around in his true aura broke into several pieces like a mud ball gradually falling apart. This is 7th level of the mortal martial realm strength. Now with just one thought I can transform my true qi into true aura. Chen Xiang clenched his fists, as he vigorously stamped his foot. All the broken stones littered on the ground suddenly flew up. Frightening aura qi emanated from his body and immediately grinded the stones in midair into powder. Chen Xiang thought, his current strength, when compared to 6th level of the mortal martial realm, was much more formidable. But this level of power was still nothing in the eyes of those big sects. Only those with strength above 9th level of the mortal martial realm could establish a foothold in those sects, which was also why he was never arrogant. He knew no matter how good you thought you were, there was always someone out there that was better. Mengbo, the Dan King of Southern Martial Empire, had joined Dan King Hall, caused an uproar in the whole King City, immediately bolstering Dan King Hall's fame, despite the fact it still had yet to be opened. Many people were looking forward to the opening of the store. Every day store entrance would be crowded and many people unceasingly came to ask about the store's grand opening. Of course, since Mengbo joined Dan King Hall, the Yao family felt a tremendous pressure, because they feared Chen family's Dan King Hall would catch up with their position in the Southern Martial Empire. Although Danxiang Herbal Manor sold dawn, Hay still fell behind compared their sale of herbs, as they were mainly in the business of selling spirit herbs. As such, the opening of Dan King Hall had a little effect on them. Moreover, both parties already had established a cooperative relation. After dressing up, Chen Xiang started walking towards the King City. On his way he was thinking about the opening of Dan King Hall. While walking, he suddenly noticed that there was something amiss. He felt someone was hiding inside the forest. "Come out, no need to hide now." Chen Xiang's voice was extremely cold, full of killing intent. Since he and the Yao family were bitter enemies, he had always been in a state of vigilance. He already knew sooner or later the Yao family would send someone to assassinate him. His voice just died down, a xiao sound came. Like a lightning bolt, Chen Xiang stretched his hand and caught an arrow that had been shot at him. He then quickly moved his body, with both flexibility and agility shuttling through the forest. Only a flicker of his figure was visible. Chen Xiang appeared near a tree and operated his aura qi. Boom! His fist struck the tree and blasted it into smithereens, and immediately after a scream came from behind the tree. Whoever was hiding behind the tree had just died from the explosion caused by Chen Xiang's overbearing punch. Chen Xiang frowned. He was able to sense all the changes happening around him. After entering into 7th level of the mortal martial realm, his divine sense had become even more acute, and at this moment, he clearly felt numerous arrows raining towards him. Suddenly from his palm, an azure aura chi surged out and formed a wall of aura in front of him. That rainstorm of arrows were entirely shunned by this aura wall. 300 arrows, 300 individuals. It seems you cannot wait to kill me. Chen Xiang's whole face turned cold, a monstrous, killing intent surge in his heart. Since you want to kill me, then do not blame me. As his sound transmitted, a wave of slaughter chi swept through the whole forest like a cold wind. The white tiger was a god of slaughtering. After cultivating the white tiger divine exercise, the cultivator would possess a very intense slaughter chi, which was capable of deterring the opposite party, while simultaneously enhancing their own strength. Now Chen Xiang had casted out most basic of the white tiger divine exercise, a slaughtering heart. Unless he comprehended this exercise well, he would never be able to practice other martial skills of the white tiger divine exercise. This slaughtering heart was also the best and quickest way of slaughtering his opponents. Chen Xiang released his formidable divine sense, and quickly arrived near a big tree. He had already sensed many people hiding in the tree, although they hid well, but they were still discovered by Chen Xiang. Humph, you think with quant. 1. Tai you will be able to kill me? Chen Xiang coldly spoke. His body vanished into the forest like a mirage. He was simply too quick. It was impossible for the archers hiding in the tree to get a hold of his location. Even if they occasionally hit him by pure dumb luck, it would always be blocked by the aura chi covering his body. An azure aura wrapped Chen Xiang's fist, while lightning was flashing above them. He jumped to a nearby tree, and struck towards the trunk of the tree. Boom boom boom! Azure lighting ran through the entire tree. Subsequently the trunk exploded into pieces. Flame and lightning aura burst out from within. The treetop was entirely charred like it was burnt by the flames. Soon after 6 charred bodies gradually fell from above. Chapter 43. Devil Exercise. Chapter 43. Devil Exercise. Chen Xiang took out a long broadsword from his storage pouch and fiercely leapt into air. In blink of an eye he flew past dozens of treetops, while simultaneously waving the broadsword with madness. One after another aura chi flashed out from the blade, transforming into azure chi blade and flying towards the treetops. Immediately after, several shrieks came from the trees inside, followed by pieces of flesh accompanied with blood raining from the branches of the tree. In blink of an eye several people died. After killing these people, Chen Xiang's slaughter chi also rose. Once again he leapt towards another treetop, while directly covering his long blade with aura chi, and he hacked towards this tree. When 5 people hiding inside the tree saw Chen Xiang's formidable strength, without any further ado they directly fled. These people are only at 2nd or 3rd level of mortal martial realm, and their speed and power cannot even compare to Chen Xiang. In a flash their head flew one after another from their neck. Everybody retreat. He is 7th level of mortal martial realm expert. One shocked shout came, after which many black-robed people jumped down from the tree and fled in different direction. Those black-robed people didn't even know who they were trying to kill, only the person leading them knew, and that is also the one who identified Chen Xiang's strength. While that person was trying to flee, Chen Xiang locked onto this man Qi. Although the forest was very dense, but it did not affect Chen Xiang's speed in any way. His Qing Gong has already reached to acme perfection. With a little aid from the branches he leapt into the sky, skimming through several trees, and his blade pierced straight into that black-robed man's body, but it did not kill him. From the method which Bai Yu taught him, he held the head of the captivated leader to get some answers. "Who are you and why did you want to kill me?" Both eyes of the leader turned sluggish. He replied, "We are the members of Black Wind Gang. My father ordered me to come here and kill you." "Who is you father?" "Black Wind Gang's chief." After listening, Chen Xiang slightly frowned. His palm struck that man's spirit location. After killing him, with light and fast steps he ran, and tried to catch up those fleeing black-robed men. Whole forest was lit into flames by Chen Xiang, as long as he caught someone location from his divine sense. He blasted a fist in that direction, releasing countless Zhu Ke Orachi, and they transformed into arrows of fire and flew towards the black-robed men, every time killing few people. These people were only at 3rd level of mortal martial realm. In his eyes they were weak like an ant, simply untenable, not to mention they were still inside the fire sea. Smoke was billowing in the forest. Every time a tree fell it was accompanied by loud screams. The forest was like a blazing Hell, and Chen Xiang was the lord of this Hell. Half an hour passed. Fire inside the forest was now extinguished. Hostility was coming off from Chen Xiang's whole body, more than 300 individuals, and no one was spared. Everybody died at his hands, which also helped him in comprehending White Tiger divine exercise. After the refinement of him body from immortal and devil pond, he had laid solid foundation for practicing immortal and devil body. His body was strengthened up to a terrible degree. The more stronger the body is, the more strong and vigorous the true Qi would be. Black Wind Gang. After the King City martial art tournament, I'll find you and whoever ordered you. Chen Xiang put away that bloodied long blade, and operated the Tai Chi divine exercise to restrain his slaughter Qi, and returned to King City. Chen Xiang only returned to Dan King Hall in the evening. He was surprised to see Chen Tianhu standing there. "Dad, how did you come here? You look pale. What happened?" Chen Xiang hurriedly walked towards him and held Chen Tianhu's wrist. As he released his divine sense into his body to probe his injuries, he saw Chen Tianhu Dantian was broken, but also his injuries are now stabilized and are slowly recovering. Although Chen Xiang's face was expressionless, but the killing intent emanating from his body even affected Chen Tianhu. At this point Meng Bo and Chen Luzhong also came out. When they felt Chen Xiang's intense slaughter Qi, they could not help but be surprised. This type of Qi can only be congealed out after killing many people, and it was harder to imagine at such a young age Chen Xiang already have such an appalling slaughter Qi. "Dad, who injured you?" Chen Xiang asked in a cold tone. Chen Tianhu has not seen his son for only few months, but he can still feel how much Chen Xiang have changed, and he sensed his strength is a lot stronger. Sigh. Chen Furong. Chen Furong, one of the old veterans of Chen family, he was also recruited by those martial arts sects, heard his name. Chen Xiang already knew the reason Chen Furong acted like this. Chen Furong, to stop Dan King Hall from opening, came to me and asked me to close Dan King Hall. Since I disagreed and defied his order, he wounded me, my strength and his. Chen Tianhua sounded very angry. Chen Luzhong also could not help but angrily said, "This Chen Furong is simply lawless. He is already not welcomed by any of the Chen family member, as other veterans are no longer present. He could do whatever he wants. He is truly an Aol." Chen Furong returned from those martial arts sect, so his strength should be no less than 9th level of mortal martial realm. Currently Chen Xiang can't possibly deal with him. Chen Xiang clenched his fist tightly, and he swore he will make Chen Furong pay for what he has done. Although Chen Xiang anger is not visible on his face, but Chen Tianhua, Chen Luzhong and Meng Bo are clearly able to feel his monstrous anger, which was accompanied by a heart-trembling slaughter chi. Your father has already been stabilized, you do not need to worry about that. Meng Bo said. At this time he knew Chen Xiang is out of the ordinary. He knew it is impossible for Chen Xiang to remain in this secular world, instead he will certainly make a mark in those big sections. Chen Xiang nodded his head. Many thanks Meng Lao, we first prepare to open Dan King Hall in coming few days, the more he wants to stop us, the sooner I want it open. Chen Xiang after leaving these words, he left Dan King Hall. Chen Tianhu and others did not try to ask where he was going. Brat, I know you are very angry but you have to calm down and listen to me. I have one quick way to enhance your strength and make you break through to 8th level of mortal martial realm. Bai Yu ice-cold voice soon came after he left, as she tried clam his anger down. Chen Xiang's eyes lit up and hastily asked, Yu sister, what do I've to do? He has just advanced into 7th level of mortal martial realm, but if you want to enter 8th level in a short time, it is still very unrealistic, but this ice-cold beauty still have some means for him to advance. If you have not been practicing immortal and devil body, I would have not allow you to study my devil skills this quickly. Devil skill. Chen Xiang from Su Meiyao have learned that Bai Yu's devil skills are both fearful and formidable. He already wanted to study them, but he must wait till he have reached a certain level. My devil skills although have big advantages, but there are also some disadvantages, but it is still possible to eliminate the effects. Bai Yu transmitted to him. My devil skill is called engulfing devil skill, and with this you will be able to engulf others' true chi, while the other person's true chi will be assimilated into your body, so you will be able to rob that man's entire strength.